Had a lot of people love your story yesterday. Loved it.
So, my daughter still thinks it's funny.
Wow.
She just looked at me and laughed last night. She's laughing as I'm putting her to bed. We still go up and tuck her in every night. Like, what's so funny? She goes, I'm like, that ain't funny. She laughs.
Wife, no?
Oh, she told my wife. My wife thinks it's hysterical.
Oh, so she gets called grandma.
What's even funnier is this morning I'm playing golf today, and I realized at like 5:30 when I'm usually out the door, I'm like, I don't have any cash, and we're not playing at our place because it's closed because they're aerating the greens and all that stuff. So I'm like, I don't have enough cash for the game. So I go up to my daughter's room where I know that there's cash. And on her desk, there are it's dark out, so I got my phone to kind of look. On her desk, there's 250s. Like, I don't want to take a 50. I go to her wallet, which is next to the 250s. I pull out another 50. I'm like, good God,
Man.
I finally found a 20 in there to steal from her, for crying out loud.
My kid is loaded.
I was borrowing it. Now after that, I'm not sure I'm giving it back. A lot of pressure on me, David. I met Mac yesterday. He gave me 3 books. He said, you've been reading. I've got some books for you.
I think he's a great guy.
Very nice guy. Enjoyed. First time I've ever met him. Enjoyed talking with him. We spent about 45 minutes at Starbucks. Had a coffee and a chat. His son is playing in the Florida Amateur right now. His son's a player.
I think Mac's Canadian.
He is from Canada, but he is an American citizen only.
I think it was game 2 ambient, but
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you this first Monday of June as the sports world continues to deliver. We have a lot to sink our teeth into today. Hope you've had a good week. Let's finish strong, shall we? How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How about these playoffs?
Boy, oh boy, sign me up. Back-to-back nights. We begin the finals in both hockey and now basketball with terrific games. Terrific games, although last night was unusual in that, for the most part, Oklahoma City armbarred Indiana for 3 quarters and looked as if they were going to continue to do what they do at home, beat teams and beat teams comfortably. But the Pacers, for the 4th time in the playoffs, mount a double-digit comeback in the 4th quarter. They never led in the game until there were 0.3 seconds left.
So to review, in the first round, Milwaukee I believe it was game 4, too. I believe it would have tied the series at 2. Milwaukee led by 7 with 35 seconds to go. Their percentage chance to win was 98%. They lost. Indiana won. Cleveland was up 7 with 52 seconds to go. In game 2 of their playoff series with the Pacers, that would have tied their series at a game apiece. And then Cleveland went on to win game 3, by the way. But the Pacers, facing a 96% chance of defeat, came back to win. The Knicks, which stat do you want? Up 14 with 3 minutes to go? Up 8 with 41 seconds to go? They had a 99.7% chance of winning and lost in overtime to these Pacers in game 1. And Oklahoma City, up 9 with under 3 minutes to go, had a 96.4% chance of winning. And the Pacers are up 1-0. And all 4 of these comebacks have happened on the road. This is remarkable. A comeback in the final minute like this had not happened in the NBA Finals in nearly 30 years. Apparently down 9 with 2:52 to play in what they call the play-by-play era, where you could go back and find the box score, and then it also says play-by-play. So in the last 28 years, teams were 0 for 121 when trailing by more than 7 points with under 3 minutes to go in any game of the NBA Finals. Man, this team is fun. This team is fun. I don't know if they're going to win it, but if they do, this is clearly one for the ages.
And Halliburton now has hit a game winner or game tying shot in the final seconds of every series in the postseason. He's defining clutch before our very eyes right now. And I get it. It's one of those games last night. You know, they had him at arm's length, did Oklahoma City, for 3 quarters. Indiana was awful in the first half. 19 turnovers in the first half, 25 for the game, but they tightened it up in the second half. And as I was watching, no, I'm not predicting a comeback, but as I'm watching going, I can go to bed. No, you can't go to bed. It's the Pacers. You can't. It's the NBA. You can't go to bed in the fourth quarter. Not on this team. Not this year.
How close were you? Because Oklahoma City's up 9 going to the fourth, and then they make it 15. And Carlisle calls timeout with 9:45 to go in the fourth.
And does a hockey substitution, by the way. Does a hockey sub.
Benches everybody.
Puts 5 new players on there. I think they go on a 13-4 run after that to close 15-6, I believe. I knew better. I knew better.
I'm just asking. I wonder
No.
It
was tough. It was tough. I was holding on for dear life at that point of the, back-to-back late nights for me.
I know.
But no, I just had this feeling that the game wasn't over yet. I thought Oklahoma City was going to win.
Right.
I thought they were going to win and cover, but I knew or felt that the Pacers were at least. And when they got it to 6, I'm like, okay, Oklahoma City, do they weather the storm? They didn't. And what, Halliburton ended up with 14 points?
Was it 14 or 16? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, their leading scorer was Siakam with 19?
Right.
Now, they had 6 in double figures, but yeah, SGA at 38. I mean, literally, like you said, the only time the Pacers led in this game was with 0.3 of a second to go, and then at the final buzzer. That's it. They literally trailed the whole way.
Now, I wouldn't count out Oklahoma City just yet. Our resident Nuggets fan will remember game 1 in which Denver came back to take down Oklahoma City when Oklahoma City had a late lead. It didn't stop the Thunder from winning that series. SGA after the game said, it's not the first one to 1, it's the first one to 4. They know right where they are. They blew a game last night. And now the series is on. A road team has won. Everybody expected this series to be Oklahoma City in 5 or 6. And now the Pacers have put the pressure on the Thunder. And did the Pacers figure something out in the second half? Well, they had 66 points in the second half after turning it over throughout the first half. Did Oklahoma City let their foot off the gas a little bit, or did the Pacers figure out how to play that D? Because the Oklahoma City defense in the first half was stifling. In the second half, and particularly the fourth quarter where the Pacers had 35 points, not so much.
Well, you turn it over 19 times in one half, you don't do very well. You turn it over 6 in the other, you have a much better chance. And I'll say it again. To me, the most surprising stat is not the Pacers' 25 turnovers. It's the fact Indiana was plus 17 on the glass against supposedly the biggest front line in the NBA. Oh, man, tough to battle with Oklahoma City. Can't get to the rim against Oklahoma City. Man, they got a lot of beef near the basket in Oklahoma City. Indiana was plus 17.
That's a staggering statistic, David, because Indiana is not a good rebounding team. We talked about it going into the Knicks series.
Yeah, Knicks beat them up inside, driving to the basket, won the battle on the boards in most every game. 6 in double figures for the Pacers. Toppin with another good game off the bench. Siakam with a double-double, 19 and 10. And Oklahoma City let one get away. And Indiana's clearly proven if you don't put the stake through the heart, they'll find a way to win.
But that was fun. That fourth quarter was fun last night.
And now
you and I both love to watch a road team do that to not just obviously the home team, but the home crowd.
Sure.
And
Silence.
The Oklahoma City crowd was jumping the whole game. It was a scene. It was great. And they went home wondering what the hell happened.
Once again, home court, whatever.
Not in today's game. These players are not afraid of the road whatsoever. Many of them embrace it.
What are the Pacers now? 6 and 2 on the road, or 7 and 2? I think
7 and 2 on the road.
Pacers are 7 and 2 on the road in these playoffs. Great stuff.
Outstanding. We
And
switch
now
our
you think, hey, we got a real shot at the series now, right?
absolutely. I mean, that's the way you need it, right? You need the road team to win. The decisive underdog now wins game 1 on the road. It's like, okay, here we go. Let's roll up our sleeves and get after it.
Pat Riley said a long time ago, a series doesn't begin until a road team wins a game. All right, series on. That's the other thing, Mark. We said it for 2 days. They're a 9.5-point dog. I mean, just the money line bet alone was a nice night. 9.5. Remember, we said Oklahoma City in the last game against the Timberwolves was an 8.5-point favorite, up 3-1 at home. They were 9.5 over the Pacers.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about my bet.
I know you did.
With 7-8 minutes left in the game, David, I thought things were going along swimmingly.
Well, you did make that prediction of Thunder in 3 before
Right.
the series started also. I mean, not to say you were confident or anything.
But good for the Pacers, good for basketball. That's the
Yeah.
start the league needed last night, to be brutally honest. When a team's that much of a favorite, to have everybody be wrong right off the bat's a good thing for the sport and the series. Hockey resumes tonight. Panthers trying to even the series in Edmonton. I don't know if I've ever been fired up for a 3-song pregame concert like I am for tonight in Edmonton, because Triumph, Canadian band, are performing 3 songs before the game. I can't wait.
Are we going to get to see it?
I'll figure out a way. I
Please
can tell
let
you
me
that
know.
right now. I don't know. Online, if I have to go buy new equipment to watch it, I will do so. We've got another good show for you today. Kurt Becker, who has been on fire, giving you both the Derby and Preakness winners and giving you the long shot on the Preakness that finished in the money. He will join us in the 7 o'clock hour. Bob Pockrass to talk NASCAR. Bad day for the Jordan team yesterday. And Herm Edwards, the coach, he'll join us as well to talk some National Football League. The starting 5 is 25 minutes away right here on Miller and Moulton. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower is so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh, my gosh.
It's funny, Johnny Finger Lakes. Okay, I thank God for Herm Edwards because it was because of that play that Wellington Mara blew up the organization and turned to Pete Rozelle and said, "Pete, I need help." And Pete said, "I'll find somebody to run your team." And he plucked George Young away from the Dolphins, and the rest is history.
Hey, I think it's tomorrow night. Maybe it's Sunday night. But my mom's been all over this. But I don't know if you've seen CNN's running that Edward R. Murrow play with Clooney as Edward. They're running it live on CNN, which is pretty remarkable.
When are they doing it? Sunday night?
I think Sunday, David.
Yeah. Go up against game 2 of the finals.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. 81 years ago today. D-Day. Western civilization saved. Take a moment today to honor the men who literally saved the world.
Not many left.
No.
Every once in a while, like the Panthers and Lightning have always brought a service veteran onto the ice before. I believe every game we see it in the playoffs. But I know the Panthers had a World War II vet in the playoffs who was over 100 years old. And it's like you realize when they give the age of these great men that there's just not that many left.
No, 81 years ago. Thank you. Just doesn't seem enough. We've had a good week because we've had some fun national blank days this week. We had cheese, eggs. I guess today is donut.
Yes, it is. Today is National Donut Day, and we've gone to that well a few times on this show on National Donut Day. We've not been afraid to rekindle a question of what your favorite donut is.
I don't think you can go wrong. People like donuts, even if they don't regularly eat them. Okay, I don't think it's a food item that people have many negative thoughts towards, except maybe their doctor has said, stay away from the donuts. And you're like, but they're so good. Why do I want to do that? Isn't there something else I could cut out? I mean, it's a carb and sugar and
Right. It's a carb loaded with sugar.
why?
Everything about the donut is terrific, and it's horrible for you.
Right, but why do I want to give it up? I mean, it's a big bad world out there. You want to take this away from me too?
I could use the big bad world, sometimes a little powdered sugar
Yes.
and some cream
Uh-huh.
inside a pastry is just what the doctor ordered, is what you're saying.
Sometimes some frosting. I mean, heck, even some people like sprinkles on top of the frosting.
That's my daughter's go-to.
Well,
Vanilla frosting with sprinkles.
so hey, we'll figure it out. We'll try to narrow it down. It's tough to do. I mean, these donut places, they got a lot of choices. It's not like you walk in and they got 3. I mean, it'd be a lot easier, but we'll narrow it down on this National Donut Day coming up. So did you see how the Rays won last night?
I know they walked off as a 2-run hit by Wells there that got tossed the other day, had the game-winning hit.
Mark, he hit they're down 1, bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. He hits a 2-hopper to second. And for some reason, the first baseman, who was playing pretty far off the bag, okay, the first baseman decides, oh, this is my ball. Mark, I'm telling you, it's a routine 2-hopper to second. I think the second baseman took like a step and a half to his left. Well, once the first baseman does that, he can't get to first. The pitcher thinks it's a routine 2-hopper to second. He doesn't have to cover first. Well, okay, so the Rangers screw it up. That should be the tying run. Except the second baseman just stands there, pouts, looks at the pitcher, looks at the first baseman like, what is wrong with you? Meanwhile, the runner on second for the Rays, who was running on the pitch, just kept going. And by the time the second baseman throws home, Rays have literally scored 2 runs on a 2-hopper to second to sweep the series. You're the Rangers. You're heading to the airport to leave town, and that's how you get swept.
And the Rangers, who have had all kinds of difficulty scoring runs, seemingly had one in the bag last night.
3-1 lead going to the 9th. Yeah.
It's how a losing streak starts, David.
It's how the bar tab starts. Let me tell you.
It's actually how guys used to get cut. That doesn't happen anymore, but
or at least demoted, right? I mean,
yes.
Can you send one of these 3 people down to AAA after this? My goodness. I'm not kidding. I don't know how many people are into baseball or into the Rays and the Rangers, but this was a 2-hopper to second, and they scored twice. Unbelievable. But hey, Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers.
There you go. It's all done now.
Didn't we know he was going to sign with the Steelers? I mean, was there really any doubt? I mean, no, honestly, this is an honest question. Is there anybody out there that didn't think he was going to play? Thought he wasn't going to sign with the Steelers?
I thought that there was a 10 to 20% chance that he just wasn't going to play, period.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
He's weird enough that if he just, I'm not going to play. Okay, he's 41 years old.
Yes, he is.
I mean, if he would have said, I'm not playing anymore, would anybody have blamed him?
No, but I have to admit, I mean, I understand you got to put it on the crawl. I do. I mean, officially he signs with the Steelers. He's now the starting quarterback. I get that it's news, but I just didn't think it was the double barrel news that it was treated as yesterday afternoon. To me, it was a foregone conclusion.
David, It's Aaron Rodgers. He plays in what league again?
Okay, it's the National Football League.
Oh, okay. And what team did he sign with? Was it the Carolina Panthers? Arizona Cardinals?
No.
It was the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the 5 most popular teams in the league.
Yeah,
It's the NFL. And you're expecting them to not put red letters in a big crawl and say Aaron Rodgers signs?
No.
What world do you live in?
I was expecting the crawl and noted, and we've gone right past orange. Everything is red now.
Yes,
So
David.
I was right. I was expecting the red. I was, and I was expecting the crawl. I just wasn't expecting hour-long team coverage. I honestly treated this as like when a team announced back in March or April that they were designating someone as a post-June 1st cut. That to me is what this. To me, Aaron Rodgers was a post-June 1st signing. I thought this was a foregone conclusion. Now, I have to admit, the only thing I wanted to know yesterday, I still don't know. Maybe you'd know. How much is the contract?
Because I believe, he's supposed to sign. That's supposed to happen today. We don't know. I didn't see anything with a number.
I didn't either. And I thought he officially signed last night, but whatever.
So
that's what I want to know. They get him on the cheap? Did he take one for the team? Is that how he's going to, ingratiate himself with Steelers fans and say, hey, I signed for $10 million or whatever. Daniel Jones is making more money than me. I mean, okay.
Daniel Jones, your starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts.
Talk about, honestly, what was more of a foregone conclusion yesterday? Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers or Anthony Richardson would get hurt?
Which AR news surprised you more?
Or the least?
Right.
I mean, seriously. I don't know. Thank goodness the hockey and the hoops playoffs have been so exciting.
No doubt. I do think we could use the Aaron Rodgers news as a poll question if we wanted to people to guess where they think the Steelers will be at the end of the year.
Okay.
I also told you I have an idea for a quarterback question every week, and we could turn today slightly, if we wanted to, into a Football Friday. Miller and Moulton.
Never a bad thing.
We'll talk to Belmont in an hour. The starting 5 is next.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
An apple fritter is not a donut. An apple fritter is a fritter. An apple fritter is delicious, but it's not a donut. I don't know if you remember that philosopher Ty Webb who said, a flute with no holes is not a flute. A donut with no holes is a Danish. My question to you, Twitch chat, if I just go cream-filled, are all of you like Boston, Mass people are going to be PO'd because I didn't go Boston cream? If I just go cream-filled, does that encompass Boston cream in your estimation?
Yes, it does. Yeah, cream filled. I think it gives more variety. It can be more than just a Boston cream. But yes. So what are you going with? Jelly? Cream filled?
And it was not Fletch. It was Caddyshack. Bob and Jake. Cream-filled, glazed, jelly-filled, and the cake donut, like the cake old-fashioned donut.
Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
2 minutes till the top of the hour, an hour away from Kurt Becker. We'll preview the Belmont, which is not being raced at Belmont Park. Pockrass, big day in a federal appeals court yesterday in NASCAR. Will it lead to Michael Jordan no longer being a part of the sport? We'll talk to Bob about that and a few other things in the racing world at the top of our 8 a.m. Eastern hour. And Herm Edwards to talk a little football 2 hours from now. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
Well, the Thunder led from start to not finish. Up 9 after 1, up 12 at the half, up 9 after 3, up 15 with 9.5 minutes to play. Rick Carlisle pulls all 5 starters, throws the bench out there. They make a run, cut it to 4. But the Thunder at a 9-point lead with under 3 minutes to go. And the Pacers did it again. Get 2 stops in the final minute. Halliburton with a 20-footer at darn near the buzzer with 0.3 of a second to go. Indiana 111. Oklahoma City 110. The Pacers get it done again. 6 in double figures. They win the battle of the boards by 17. They overcome 19 first-half turnovers and 25 for the game. SGA with 38.
Yep, but if he would have had 40 on the open mid-range jumper he missed, well, they may have won the game.
Game 2, Sunday, 8:30, ABC. The Pacers up 1 game to none. Game 2 in the battle for the Stanley Cup tonight in Edmonton, 8 o'clock TNT. Oilers won game 1 in overtime. Panthers trying to avoid going home down 2-0. Yeah, they were able to come from behind against Toronto down 2-0. Think they'll be able to do the same against Edmonton? I don't. I think tonight's a must-win for the Panthers if they're going to defend Lord Stanley. By the way, we talked about it. How would the ratings be? This just in. Not good. Lowest rated non-COVID game 1 of the Stanley Cup final in 17 years. And do you know why the Wings and the Penguins in 2008 were lower rated?
Because they were on Versus.
Versus.
Do you remember Versus?
Less than 2.5 million people watched Game 1. Now, last year, Game 1 was on ABC, so the ratings were 22% higher. But 2 years ago, the Panthers and the Golden Knights were on TNT and did 12% better than this rematch. The NHL is desperately rooting for a Panthers win tonight. This series needs a jolt, obviously. NFL news. Aaron Rodgers signs a 1-year deal with the Steelers. I thought there might be some kind of option for year 2. As of now, there's no indication that there is. The 41-year-old quarterback, week 1. Tell you what, NFL's got a sense of humor. They do. I thought the week 1 Steelers game was going to be the home game against the Packers. Okay. But this is pretty good. Steelers open up at the Jets. I mean, you got to give the schedule maker a little sense of humor there. I mean, it wasn't a surprise to the NFL that Aaron Rodgers was signing with the Steelers. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson is hurt. What?
No.
Anthony
Richardson is hurt?
Hurt? He re-injured his throwing shoulder. Same injury that he had last season that cost him a bunch of weeks. He's out indefinitely. And by indefinitely, they don't think he'll be ready for the start of training camp on July 22nd. Yeah. That could go down as an all-timer. I mean, I don't think it's going to go down as Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell, but, he was taken 4th overall. I mean,
I'm with you. It's not the Jamarcus, because Jamarcus Russell we thought was going to be, at least many of us thought was going to be good. There were so many people, and I guess you and I were at the top of the list. Like, I don't look at this as a bust. I look at it as a horrible draft.
Yeah, we hated the pick when he made it.
When it happened.
Right.
He
was
think
a
he was
project.
a first-round pick.
Right.
Didn't think he was an NFL quarterback. Go back. I mean, it's one of those times. Go back and listen to the tape. You and I and Pat Kerwin never thought the guy could play in the league. Ever.
Absolutely crushed it. We thought he was a project. He started, 12 games in Florida?
Right.
Got hurt twice. Anyway. Baseball. The Rays scored 3 in the 9th to sweep the Rangers 4-3. They literally scored 2 runs with 2 outs on a ground ball to second. Unbelievable. St. Pete City Council before the game approved another $5 million to help with the Tropicana Field repairs. President of the Rays came out last week and said, listen, the dome should be repaired by the first of the year, and then we got 3 months to repair the inside, and we think we'll get it done. I don't know about that, but my guess is the Rays start out with like a 2-week road trip next year, but we'll see. Yankees got 6 shutout innings from Max Fried and a 4-0 win over Cleveland. How about the Orioles? It took them 2 months. See, they misread the calendar. The season started on March 28th. They thought it started May 28th. They've won 6 straight. It's likely way too late. Baltimore 4-3 over Seattle. Mariners lose another game to the Astros, who are a game and a half up in the West. They beat Pittsburgh 8-2. Isaac Paredes with a couple of homers. Royals and Cardinals split a twin bill. Cardinals won the first one 6-5-10. KC the nightcap 7-5. Dodgers and Mets split a 4-game series. LA with 3 in the 8th to win 6-5. And the Phillies say, hey, thanks, Los Angeles. We don't lose another game to the Mets. And the Phillies have lost 6 out of 7. They lost in Toronto 9-1. Did you see how the Braves lost yesterday? They gave up 7 in the 9th with a 10-4 lead and lost 11-10. Mark, you were talking about people getting cut or demoted with the whole ground ball to second thing in the Tampa Bay, Texas game. Yeah, Atlanta shipped 3 people out of town. They demoted 1 and cut 2, or demoted 2 and cut 1. But yeah, after the game, they said, okay, we've really lost our sense of humor about this.
The Atlanta Braves are 7 games beneath 500.
They had gotten back to 500 after the 5-13 start.
Right.
And they got Strider and Acuna back. And they've done nothing but lose. White Sox in 10 beat Detroit 3-2. The A's snap a 9-game skid.
Hey!
Beat the Twins 14-3. Giants end up coming back, splitting the 4-game series with San Diego.
What a series.
Yeah.
4
4
one-run games, 2
Right.
go extra innings. Terrific series.
3-2 Giants with the win. Robbie Ray is the first 8-game winner in the National League. Cubs got a homer and 4 RBIs from Ian Happ and a 7-1 win over the Nats. Big news on the south side of Chicago. Jerry Reinsdorf agrees to sell the White Sox. He's selling it to Justin Ishbia, the brother of Matt Ishbia, who bought the Phoenix Suns and Mercury a couple years ago for $4 billion. Justin's a minority owner with the Suns. He will become the owner of the White Sox sometime between 2029 and 2034. Reinsdorf can sell him the team before 2034 if he wants, but if he wants to hold on to it, by 2034, Ishbia can purchase the team from Reinsdorf. I mean, if you're Reinsdorf, well, first off, I mean, he's an old guy. I mean, I hope he lives to 2034 because I think he'd get to 100. But, I mean, you hold on to it every day, right? Values only go up.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's strange. You're buying it somewhere in this 5-year span.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, that's too high level finance for me, David. I want to buy something. I want to get it when I buy it.
Now, there are a lot of people, because the White Sox have been looking for a new stadium, and nobody was going to give it to Reinsdorf. Now they may get their stadium. Just saying.
It'll be interesting because between the White Sox, the Bears, and I believe they're building a huge soccer complex in Chicago as well.
In fact, I thought they got the financing for that like yesterday.
Yeah, and it's like $650 million. So, I mean, I just think it needs to be pointed out. And it's on the south side, I thought.
Right.
So, it just something to pay attention to in the stadium world.
Golf, Canadian Open, Thorborn Olesen, and Del Sarter. Cristobal Del Sarter. Both shot 9 under. Homa 1 under. He needs to win to qualify for the U.S. Open. Rory shot 1 over and basically said, I'm having trouble finding motivation after winning the Masters and the career Grand Slam. I don't blame him. I got to admit, I might go on a little bender after that. I've won hundreds of millions of dollars. I have hundreds of millions in endorsements. That Rolex money's coming in, whether I'm playing well or not. I could see that. LIV is underway today in Virginia. U.S. Open next week. Officially, the greens 14.5 on the stimp meter, and the rough listed officially at 5 inches.
Will anybody shoot even par? But as far as they hit it and as good as they are, will someone break par for 4 rounds next week?
DJ did in 2016 when he won it. Even with the bogus 1-stroke penalty at the end, he finished either 3 or 4 under. And I think there was one person who snuck in at 1 under. I think there were 2 people under par 9 years ago.
Yes, and the rough is going to be longer this year, and they've lengthened that par 3 to play like a par 4.
You mean 290?
Right.
LPGA, they get underway in Jersey today, the ShopRite Classic near Atlantic City. They're going to play a Game 3 tonight for the Women's College World Series softball title. Texas Tech held off Texas, despite the Longhorns scoring 2 in the 9th. 4-3 Red Raiders, Game 3 tonight. By the way, we talked about the hockey ratings, 2.42 million for Game 1. Softball ratings haven't come in yet. We said there was a chance softball beat hockey, and I think there's a real chance.
And there's a chance it beats it again tonight because softball is a winner-take-all game,
Right.
and hockey's just Game 2.
College baseball super regionals get underway today. Miami at Louisville, Florida State in Corvallis against Oregon State, and Auburn hosting Coastal Carolina, North Carolina hosting Arizona. Tennis, top 2 seeds on the women's side advanced to the finals yesterday. Sabalenka needed 3 sets to get by Swiatek. Coco Gauff just wiped the red clay with the French qualifier 1-2. Meanwhile, men's semis are today. Musetti, the 8 seed, against Alvarez, the 2 seed, and then Jannik Sinner against Djokovic. Djokovic's proven he can beat Zverev. He's proven he can beat Alcaraz. Sinner has beaten the tar out of Djokovic the last 2-3 years. Djokovic's beaten him once. We'll see if the Joker at 38 can keep getting it done. And NASCAR, big win in court yesterday for NASCAR against Michael Jordan's race team and Front Row Racing. Those 2 race teams had gotten an injunction saying, hey, while we're suing NASCAR to change the business model, we should be able to keep our charter. The charter is what gets you into races automatically. If you don't have a charter for your car, you have to qualify. And even if you do qualify, you don't get paid the same amount of money as those teams that have charters. And I don't know if you get the same number of points either for how you perform in the races. Well, Michael Jordan's race team and Front Row Racing lost yesterday. They have 14 days to appeal. NASCAR can essentially kick them out of the sport in 3 weeks if they don't appeal, don't win, and decide that they want to. And they could make these guys, we're talking Bubba Wallace, we're talking Denny Hamlin, okay, make them have to qualify every week. Now, they likely would, but, you know, you lose pit stall position. I mean, it'd be a real pain in the butt.
The other side of it, however, is does NASCAR, who has every right, like David said, want to look Michael Jordan in the eye as an owner and say, we're kicking you out? A sport that's not growing, that's trying to grow, that's looking for new ways to grow their sport, and tell the most popular athlete maybe in the country, we're not interested in you being an owner in our sport. It is a hell of a game of poker going on between NASCAR and Michael Jordan's team. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You can start one quarterback for the 2025 season. Dak Prescott, Tua, Bo Nix, Aaron Rodgers.
Look at you.
What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, would you like to substitute anything? Am I, is Aaron Rodgers not worthy of the list?
They're both interesting. Every choice there is interesting.
Sonny, by the way, what you said Alidar and Affirmed didn't turn out good. Why didn't it turn out good? They raced 10 times. It's like the classic horse clash of all time, I thought. I was very curious why you said that, and I didn't have a chance to ask.
Every race got closer in the Triple Crown.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this first Friday, D-Day. 81 years ago today, Western civilization as we know it saved. Thank you, to say the least. We owe them everything. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. A scintillating game 1 of the NBA Finals last night, won at basically the buzzer by Indiana. After a scintillating game 1 of the Stanley Cup, game 2 tonight in Edmonton. Couple of big NFL quarterback news and notes yesterday. One a signing, one an injury. Baseball moving right along. Thank you very much. We got a Triple Crown race tomorrow.
And a little head-to-head between two really good horses. And I know Sovereignty didn't run in the Preakness, but Journalism did and won after not winning the Derby, in which he was favored, and they're going head-to-head, so to speak, in the Belmont.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Only it's not the Belmont as we know it. First off, it's not held at Belmont Park. And secondly, I don't think it's the same length.
No, I think it's a little shorter.
Right. So Kurt Becker to join us in about 35 minutes to see who he likes at Saratoga in the shortened Belmont. And who's his money horse outside of the two favorites? I mean, somebody has to finish third, right? Or better.
Exactly.
Miller and Moulton. Mark Miller gave us a heads up 2 days ago. He said, I want to do this for at least the rest of this month, maybe through July as well, till training camps. But Mark wants to pound us over the head softly with quarterback poll questions.
Yes, David. I have done some research over the years. You and I have done this show for, 18 years together, 19 years together, something like that. It's been a long damn time.
Well,
and
come on, it hasn't been that bad. Well, maybe it has. But yeah, 19 years next month.
And we love all sports, as evidenced by that fact that we'll have a NASCAR guest on today. And because there's big news in NASCAR. There is. I'm not even knocking the sport. This is a big deal. But I've learned, call me crazy, over the years that our audience likes football. And even though we're nowhere close to playing a football game yet this year, I thought we'd have some fun. And as I've been trying to get in better shape, and I'm on the treadmill every day. And sometimes the brain just wanders. And while on the treadmill on Tuesday, I went, it'd be a good idea. Just throw 4 quarterbacks out there and say, which one would you want to start for you this year? 1 year. Okay. So with the Aaron Rodgers signing, you can start 1 quarterback for the 2025 season. Who are you picking? Aaron Rodgers, Tua, Bo Nix, or Dak Prescott?
Okay. All right. An old guy, a guy coming off injury, a guy who has been hurt often, and a young buck on his way up.
A young buck who had based on last year, it would seem that Bo Nix would be the obvious choice. But C.J. Stroud took a step sideways at best in year 2.
Yeah, well, his offensive line play went from good to horrible.
And his receivers got hurt. Yeah.
Right. But besides that, and apparently they blamed it all on the offensive coordinator because Bobby Slowick got fired. I will say it's maybe the only thing the Dolphins have done this offseason that I've liked is Mike McDaniel brought Bobby Slowick onto the staff. I wish he'd turned play calling over to him. If nothing else, the plays would get in on time. But hello.
Well, we know that's not going to happen because I don't see McDaniel giving up any power this year. Too big of a year for him.
Right. Well,
It's just his career as a head coach.
right. No big deal or anything. Right. So 83 and 90 days away from the football season starting, college and pro. Mark Miller with his first quarterback poll question of the late spring and summer. I must admit, I really like your choices. I do, because it's got a little bit of everything.
Right. Who, by the way, have you given any thought of who you would select as your quarterback for 2025?
Now, it's difficult to do in this sense. You have to say, okay, put this quarterback on my team, whatever team that is. You're not taking how they're going to do on their team. Like, I don't think the Dolphins and the Cowboys are going to have winning records. Okay. So, but believe it or not, at this stage of their careers, I'd probably choose Dak.
And to your point, David, if you want to just say, put all of these quarterbacks in Denver, because of the 4 quarterbacks that we picked, Denver has the best roster of the 4 teams. I don't know. You can't even argue it. It's not close.
No. Denver's a playoff team.
But would Denver be better with any one of these 3 quarterbacks for this year? I'm not talking about for the career because it's the young guy, obviously. But for this year, do you think Denver's a playoff team with Bo Nix, a Super Bowl team with Dak Prescott? That's really the question you have to ask with these 4 players.
I wonder if we posed that question to Sean Payton, who would he choose? The whole truth serum, 1 year. You're not going to lose Bo Nix. Okay. In theory, we just push him to the side for a year. Would you choose one of the other 3 and push Bo to the side? Or would you go, no, actually, for this year, I'll win more games with the guy, with my young guy. Because you think about it, you got one guy under 25. You got one guy who's in between 25 and 30. You got one guy who's 32.
And you got one guy who's ready for AARP.
Right, in his 40s. I mean, Dak, by the way, this is year 10 for Dak Prescott. It's year 10. He was a 4th-round pick in 2016. Hello. So I like the poll question.
The other poll question, which is getting far more votes, has to do with donuts. Today is National Donut Day. What is your favorite donut? Cream-filled, glazed, jelly-filled, or the cake donut? You can put what you can do. If you think chocolate glazed is better than regular glazed, then vote for glazed. I'm not adding flavors here. I'm just adding the type of donut. I do love me a good cake donut, chocolate topped. It's wonderful.
Well, but then isn't that like what were the other 3 choices were cream-filled, jelly. But if you're going to put chocolate on it, isn't that like a frosted donut?
Well, all I know is at the place I go, they have the cake donuts with the chocolate on it. It's one of my favorite all-time donuts.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's, again, personal preference. Whatever you like. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X to vote. You can always text the show 21,000. If you've not texted in a while, you need to text the keyword Miller to 21,000. Then you can text me whatever you'd like. Had somebody ask me about grilled oysters yesterday, David. Walked in this morning to a text on my thoughts on grilled oysters. I find them to be amazing.
All right. Once again, 21,000 on the text line. We appreciate your contributions. I think tonight's a must-win for the Panthers. I don't think they win the Cup if they lose tonight. I don't think they can do to Edmonton what they did to Toronto. And I think if Edmonton wins tonight, that Edmonton's looking at Florida going, man, you're lucky we spotted you 3 last year, because we've played 6 times since and we're 5-1.
All
Just so
great
you know.
points. The only thing I would say to counter that is Stuart Skinner can turn from brilliant to beer league overnight. And that's the only reason why I disagree with you, David. What you're saying makes great sense. But the Edmonton goaltender has shown that he can lose his game ever so quickly. And who knows if they win tonight and come to Florida and Skinner goes back to what we saw in the first round when he ended up getting pulled and replaced. But if I'm Florida, obviously I'm far more comfortable getting this back to Sunrise 1-1. You were outplayed in game 1, even though it went to overtime and nearly to a second overtime. You were outplayed in game 1. They were more physical than you were. They had more opportunities than you did. And you were the team with more power plays. You both converted the same amount of times. Each team had 1 power play goal, but they were 1 for 2. You were 1 for 4. There's not an area that the Florida Panthers cannot get better at tonight than they were in game 1. I expect Florida to be far more physical tonight. I was stunned that Edmonton took the play to Florida in the way they did in game 1, David. I think you'll see a much more physical Florida Panther team tonight.
I also think you'll see Florida try to get inside more. I thought they became too predictable. Every time they just banged the puck in. Every single time. I know they want to get their forecheck established, but they've got some really skilled forwards. I mean, sometimes you just don't bang the puck around the boards. Sometimes you actually skate it in and try to make a move and get to the high slot. And, I want to see more shots on Skinner. I mean, they had a great second period. And that's about it. They had 5 good minutes in the first period, and they had a great second period, and they had a good first 4 shifts of overtime. You're right, Mark. There's a lot more in their game than what they showed in game 1. But I think they got to get inside more, and I think they got to try to be a little more creative offensively. Stop banging it in every single time. Edmonton's figured it out to some degree. I would just add a little variety, and I'll say this. Hey, Kachuk, it's time.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and Sal.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Why, thank you, Nix.
I agree, Nick. I think it's an amazing question.
We might only have 3 quarterbacks on next week. We might go the high end. We might go Allen, Lamar, Burrow. Of course, if I can remember that next week.
Mhm.
So I use the portal for the doctor's office to tell the doctor that my back is exactly the same now that I've been on the medicine for a week.
Right.
Took the doctor, and I'm not kidding, less than 90 minutes to get back to me and schedule an x-ray and physical therapy. I'm like, wow, maybe got to use these portal things more often.
Mhm.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Kurt Becker to join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time as we'll dive into the Belmont, which will not be raced at Belmont Park. Another year at Saratoga. Both the Derby and the Preakness winner are in the race. Will one of those two win it? Will it be someone else? He's nailed the first two legs of the Triple Crown. He's also nailed the horse coming out of nowhere to finish in the money both times. Kurt Becker on a roll in 2025. He'll join us coming up. Bob Pockrass at the top of the hour. Big off-the-track news yesterday in NASCAR. And Herm Edwards in a little more than an hour. He was a college coach just a few years ago. Things are a lot different than the beginning of the decade when he was at Arizona State. And we'll talk to him about Rodgers and what do you do if you're coaching Indianapolis and Anthony Richardson and what have you. Herm Edwards in a little more than an hour. Mark, before you get to what it is you're going to get to, did you see what happened to the ABC affiliate in Fort Wayne, Indiana last night?
I did not. Fort Wayne, Indiana. I spent a month there one week. It's quite a city.
Okay. Well, WPTA is the ABC affiliate in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Hello.
So, and by now, most people, if you watch television semi-regularly, particularly if you watch one of the four networks, you know the drill. Heading into the late local news, the primetime show ends 10:57 or 9:57 if it's Fox or a Central Time Zone. You get the idea. At 57:30, and then the local news promo, because you don't go to bed coming up, and they give you usually top story, okay, something about the weather, and then the anchor or co-anchor say something pithy, all right, and, cute. Hey, you want to stick around? Your late local news is coming up. Don't forget about the first alert radar. You know the drill. And then they run into a short commercial break and then the news. So a lot of master controls have it where at the same time every night the 30-second news promo runs. Well, that's if it's a network show. You're supposed to flip the switch to off and do it manually if you're running a live sporting event. Well, the master control in Fort Wayne, Indiana didn't do it live. They had it manually plugged in. And Mark, at the time last night, that a normal ABC network program would end and the late local news promo would start running, Indiana was up, or Oklahoma City was up 3. They miss a shot with 1:04 to go, and the Thunder grabbed the rebound and crossed midcourt. At which point, the promo starts running. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, there might be a little local interest in this basketball game. This isn't Pocatello, Idaho. Right. Mark, here's the funny thing. Do you know what the big story was in the late local news promo?
My guess, it was on the Pacers game.
We'll go live to the Pacers watch party and see how they did in game 1 of the finals. I was watching game 1 of the finals! And then sure enough, and don't forget, okay, we'll have your morning forecast, whether or not you need to bring that raincoat or umbrella with you in the morning. And then somebody in master control realizes shortly before the promo is going to run out, what are we doing? And somebody hits the button. And so when they get back to it, Oklahoma City has the ball again. The Pacers have scored. There's 33 seconds to go in a 1-point game.
Wow. Heads are going to roll this morning in that staff meeting, David.
Thank goodness it was at night and the answering machine was on. Can only imagine how many people called screaming.
But there's a network president that is calling meetings this morning, and heads are going to roll. Someone's going to pay for that little miscue there.
So anyway, you all got to watch the final minute and 4 seconds uninterrupted. Not so the case in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Time now for the coolest thing I've seen today. It's brought to you by our friends at Air Advantage. Online, myairadvantage.com, or you can call them at 433-4635. That's 239-433-4635. 18 months, no interest, no payments available. A proud Ream partner. We go to Columbus for my story today, David, where Sean Monahan, forward for the Columbus Blue Jackets, won the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy. The award is given annually to the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. The kicker was he was given the award at his home in Toronto by Meredith Goudreau, the widow of the late Johnny Goudreau. And in the video she posted driving up to his home, they have been, for the two of them, Monahan and Goudreau, were friends for a long time. Monahan signed with the Blue Jackets last summer. And basically Monahan, as Meredith Goudreau said, was my shoulder to cry on. I dragged out for all of the different ceremonies and all the wonderful things that were done for the Goudreau family. It was Monahan, basically, who she had to lean on as best she could because of the friendship he had with her late husband. And he had a great year, which is great, but winning that trophy and then being given the trophy by Goudreau's wife, great job by the NHL, great job by her for doing it, and obviously for him for winning the award. That's the coolest thing I've seen today, brought to you by Air Advantage, online at myairadvantage.com.
They really do in that sport certain things better.
Yes, they do.
They do. I know it's not as popular as a lot of other sports, but boy, that sport really does do certain things better than the other sports.
I had to laugh when the Prince of Wales, is that what the Panthers won? The Prince of Wales trophy for winning the conference. When the trophy's out there, they don't touch it, but they take the picture. And somebody, I don't know if it was Zito, was yelling at Maurice, who's in the picture? Is it the whole organization? Is it just the players? And they're on ice for this. And Maurice, it's Chucker's call. It's Chucker's call. And they get Chuck to answer. And he's like, no, the whole organization. And the last person they bring out is a woman who works for the team. And she comes out in her tracksuit and Kachuk looks at her and he's like, no, right here. And they get her, right in front. She's right next to the trophy. No, right here, right down in front. Don't touch the trophy. Don't touch it.
By the way, big brouhaha. Did you see the victory party in Edmonton when they beat Dallas? And then McDavid touched the trophy. He touched the winning conference trophy. And the whole room goes, no! What are you doing? No! It's such superstition. It's garbage. It means nothing. But they really believe in hockey. If you touch any trophy that's not the Stanley Cup, you're cursing yourselves.
And if you touch the Stanley Cup before you actually win it, you'll never win it.
Right.
I got yelled at when I allowed my infant son to climb on the Stanley Cup. And PK O'Hanley, I was like, you can't let him do that. And I wanted to look and go, I'm 5'8", PK. Do you really think he's going to play in the National Hockey League? He's 2. Miller and Moulton. Let's talk to Belmont, shall we?
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability.
Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Kurt's on, and he might be on the short list of guests I'd like to meet in person. Don't know if we have a nicer guest.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour when Bob Pockrass, who covers racing for Fox, will join us. That's with 4 tires and doors and, steering wheels. Herm Edwards, 1 hour from now. We'll talk a little football. Kurt Becker's kind enough to join us once again. He is the voice of racing at Keeneland, Horse Racing Radio Network. Follow him on X at Becker Trackside. Becker Trackside. Kurt, it's David and Mark. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
All is well, fellas. Good to be back with you.
Well, it's always great to talk with you. All right. We're not back at the Belmont, right? We're still at Saratoga?
You are correct. 1.25 miles instead of 1.5 miles. And renovations continue at Belmont Park. So exactly, we're back at the spa for this one.
Well, obviously, Sovereignty didn't run in the Preakness. Journalism did and won. This does set up, and I know there are other horses, but this does set up for a pretty good duel, does it not?
It does. The perplexing part to me is the last I checked, the updated wagering since the windows did open a day or two ago on the Belmont is the public has got Journalism and Baeza, the horse that ran third in the Kentucky Derby. They've got last I checked, they were the top 2 in the current betting, with Sovereignty, the Derby winner, the third choice. But if you look at the money being bet on the exacta money seems to be going toward the idea of a Sovereignty over Journalism type of result. So I think the public's a little ambivalent right now on how they see this race.
Can we go back to Journalism? Was that a great ride, or did the horse overcome incompetence by the jockey?
Well, my take on it was Umberto Rispoli, the jockey of Journalism. I am not convinced that he put the horse in the best position. I think the horse overcame what was not an ideal decision by the jockey. Granted, the next race I ride will be my first. Here's my take on it. You got to consider the fact that Rispoli rides on a regular basis in Southern California. He does not often find himself in these types of situations. They don't have a lot of larger fields on the West Coast. Even at that, it seems like even in smaller fields, somehow the jock or this particular horse find themselves in traffic trouble. But absolutely, the horse did run a huge race to overcome what happened at the top of the stretch when there was some swerving and changing lanes and bumping and grinding. Big race.
And a great race. What a finish. All right, let's talk about some of the other horses in the field. I want to start with the Baffert horse Rodriguez. It didn't race in the Derby or the Preakness. It won the Wood Memorial. How ready is this horse for the 1.25 miles at Saratoga Saturday?
I just don't think this is going to be his kind of game, and I don't think it's Bob's year. Granted, this is a horse that did win the Wood Memorial, and he won it on the engine. He was on the lead the whole way. That was a rainy day, sloppy track. Don't really know about the depth of the field that he beat that day, and I just don't think any of the horses in Bob's barn are as sharp as what we normally see from him this time of year. So, especially he's 6-1 on the morning line. I just don't think there's a lot of value there with that horse. But Mike Smith is the jockey, and he's always good, it seems like, in these big game situations.
All right. Baeza was actually the fastest horse at the finish of the Derby, finished third. You picked Sovereignty to win the Derby in part because when you handicapped how you thought the pace of the race was going to be run, you thought it fit perfectly for Sovereignty, and you were correct. Okay, there are a lot of people that think much smaller field that the pace of this race is actually going to fit Baeza really well, and this horse will be a lot closer to Sovereignty and Journalism down the stretch than he was at the Derby.
This is a horse. I tell you, I don't know what to do with this horse. Frankly, I will confess, I was skeptical of Baeza in the Derby. But you're right. You touched on the fact it was a totally different setup, a totally different scenario than what he's going to face this weekend. I don't know. I always hate the wise guy horse. So many people touted that horse going into the Derby, and he ran big. He ran bigger than I thought he would. A lot of people are once again expecting that he's going to run a huge race on Saturday. I don't know. I continue to be skeptical, and I guess here's why. I think Sovereignty is legit. I thought he was legit before the Derby, and I think Sovereignty is going to be dangerous, especially with the rest that he got. I get it. Baeza also has had the same break because he did not run in the Preakness either. But I've not seen enough from Baeza yet to convince me he's quite as good as Sovereignty.
Is there any value in this race? I know that Hill Road won the Peter Pan. The trainer is from the Saratoga area, so it would be kind of a big win for Chad Brown. But is there, with 4 horses right now under 10-1, Hill Road at 10-1, is there value in this race?
I'm going to say that no, I don't think there is. My general philosophy with this Triple Crown Series has been, let's not get too cute, so to speak, with our approach. You mentioned Hill Road. Absolutely, Chad Brown grew up right there at the Spa. He's the trainer. He's from Saratoga. Comes in off a win. But, again, I don't think he is – I don't think Hill Road's ready to take the step up to face a Journalism or a Sovereignty or a Baeza. The horse that there's a Todd Pletcher horse, Uncaged, who's 30-1 on the morning line. Luis Saez, excellent jockey. He's a value kind of jockey, but I can't get excited about a horse that was a distant 6th behind Hill Road in his last start in the Peter Pan. I hate to be too chalky here and go with favorites, but I just don't see much value in the race.
Okay, well, you've had a great year. You picked the Derby winner. You picked the Preakness winner. You've picked the horses that were going to come from, fairly long odds to also be in the money in both races. If it's going to be a chalky Belmont, how do you see it?
I'm sticking with. I'm going to dance with the one that brung me. I'm sticking with Sovereignty, who I really thought heading into the Derby was the best of what I do believe is a pretty solid, talented top 3 horses. I think Journalism, Baeza are the best 3 right now in this crop. I think they've proved it so far. And with Belmont and Godolphin, the connections of Sovereignty, for them to have skipped the Preakness and said, nah, we're not really interested. It's the Belmont that we want. When those connections want something that badly and they're that focused, I think Sovereignty is going to be the horse that gets there first.
Kurt, is there a big issue in horse racing, like between now and the breeders? All right. Is there something that needs to be talked about, needs to be done, or no? It's a good solid year of racing. We'll see how the Belmont works out, and we'll see you in the fall.
Well, I think the big thing that, at least the way most people right now in the industry are perceiving this year's racing scene, there seems to be a thought that the older handicap division, the horses aged 4 and up, are a pretty solid group. To me, this is a pretty strong top level of 3-year-olds this year. I think Sovereignty Journalism by Asa could be pretty tough in the Breeders' Cup Classic this fall if everybody stays healthy and sound. So I think that right now you've got a pretty good classic 3-year-old versus older horses potential for the Breeders' Cup Classic, and I think there could be some good storylines that unfold through the Haskell and the Travers and all of the older horse races that we'll see coming up later this summer. So I think right now just stay out of the way and let things take their natural course on the racetrack. But the tough part with this game, they got to stay healthy and sound.
Final question. When do they think they'll be back at Belmont Park? Is it next year?
You know, they've been saying sometime in 2026. I know that Tim Wilkin, who has covered racing in New York for years, for a long time, he wrote for the Albany Times-Union. He seems skeptical that they'll make it in 26, but they do get the Breeders' Cup in 2027. So if they don't get back for the Belmont next year, they should be, or by 26, everything should be squared away, and they ought to have a huge 2027.
The voice of racing at Keyland. Okay, Horse Racing Radio Network. He's Kurt Becker. Follow him on X at Becker Trackside, Becker Trackside. Kurt, as always, we appreciate you, your time, your insight, and hopefully we can talk again sooner than the Breeders.
Let's do it, fellas. And again, thanks for the coverage you give to racing.
Kurt Becker joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
Said it before the interview off air. He's up there out of all the people that we interview that we don't know. You know, we've met a lot of people. I've never met Kurt face to face. I would love to spend a day with him at the track. He's one of the nicest people that you'll ever talk to. Just genuinely a nice guy. But I would love to spend a day with him around the barn just to hear what he has to say.
One of the big regrets I had, we had a couple of years where we had SEC games at Kentucky, and he was the voice of Keeneland, and we had already had him on the show, and I was right there. And I actually went to the track on a Friday, and I didn't seek him out. And I remember being back in my hotel room going, what were you thinking today? Why did you not go find Kurt Becker? What was your problem? And, 10, 11 years later, here we are. I still haven't met him either.
And we know that not all of you are into horse racing. We do know, and one of the markets that our show airs, that people are into horse racing. The television numbers show it. The other side of it is we found out through the years, even if you're not into horse racing, you tend to like to gamble a little bit. Right. So we provide you with the information. Hopefully, if you've listened throughout the Triple Crown to Kurt Becker, you've made money.
Yeah, Kurt Becker on horse racing and betting on Scotty Scheffler. Those have been the two best bets of the spring so far. Did you see if you had bet on Scheffler or in the last 6 weeks that he's outperformed the S&P 500?
But the Rockies do have more wins than Scheffler in June. And they did post that, by the way. The Rockies. Have to give them a little credit.
Yeah,
things are going that badly. And you sweep the series against the Marlins, and you literally go to X and post wins since June 1, Rockies 3, Scheffler 0. That's fantastic.
Good for you.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. Because I have to be honest, if the GM or the manager, calls in the social media department, you're making fun of, you've won 12 games for crying out loud.
Dude, we were 9-50. What do you expect me to do?
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to poke a little fun at our expense.
We're still getting a lot of people to come through the gate. So obviously it doesn't matter whether we win or lose. They're showing up.
Number 1 in your hearts, number 10 at the ballot. The Colorado Rockies.
Unbelievable. Miller and Moulton, we've got a couple of poll questions up today. It is National Donut Day. Right now, glazed with an edge over cream filled. All 4 selections getting a decent amount of votes.
Glazed was my vote.
I went with what did
Cake, right?
I went with the cake donut. I was between cake and cream filled. I love them both, and I don't mind glazed. But I decided to have some quarterback questions this year in the summertime. And since I run the poll question, I can do it whatever I want, and I did it today. You can start 1 QB for the 2025 season. Who are you picking? Bo Nix, he's in the lead with 60% of the vote. Dak Prescott getting a little less than 23% of the vote. Tua getting just over 11% of the vote. And Aaron Rodgers getting less than 6% of the vote. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Phil has no credibility I can see that you don't like him, Nix, but you have to admit at least that everything Phil said about the tour since he left for LIV has basically been true and happened. A cake donut, old-fashioned donut, just your I guess it's a cake donut. I don't know what to tell you. It's like like a glazed donut's that airy thing. The cake donut's a little more solid. The old cake donut with chocolate frosting would be the one I would go to, and it's wonderful for those that asked. I agree, Deadstroke. By the way, for those of you in YouTube, look it. I actively go to church each week, but this guy's going to tout the Jesus stuff in the chat room. I'm going to have fun. I can't help it. Oh. I told you, LeBron is king. Stop it. Arnold Palmer was the king before that. We've had King Felix. A lot of kings. Oh, we got King Charles. Very good, Deadstroke. You're right. Elvis is king. We have a lot of kings. EB, well done. You missed it, David. I just let everybody know that, I do actively go to church, but when someone comes in here and starts doing the Jesus thing, I can't help but have fun. I can't help it. So we're just listing all the other kings. Richard Petty, LeBron, Arnold Palmer, Elvis.
Burger. Right. Yep.
I have to call Bob on that. God dang, that's good.
Henrik Lundqvist. I mean,
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
we are halfway home in the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show, Lake City, Live Oak and surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We have a quarterback poll question. We have a National Donut Day poll question. Make sure that you vote accordingly. Bob Pockrass is kind enough to join us once again. He covers motor racing, whether it be IndyCar or NASCAR, for Fox. You can follow Bob on X at Bob Pockrass, Pockrass. Bob, David, and Mark, good morning. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning, guys.
So, was yesterday as big a court ruling as it seemed?
It was pretty big for sure. It certainly can impact 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. They're looking at possibility in 3 or 4 weeks, not being guaranteed a spot in every race and getting a lot less money for the races they do.
How important is it for NASCAR to have Michael Jordan as an owner? From the outside, as someone who's not a huge NASCAR guy, it seems really big to me to have maybe the biggest name in sports own a team in your sport. Is it that important to NASCAR?
I mean, it is important. It's very important to have Michael Jordan as an owner. But I think NASCAR looks at it and says they're not going to let anybody tell them how to run their business, and that they're in charge, not Michael Jordan.
Bob, realistically, how many of the Front Row Motorsports and Michael Jordan's race team sports cars would not make fields if in 3-4 weeks they have to qualify on their own? Wouldn't they probably make every race?
I mean, they should. There hasn't been a race where there's been more than 40 cars since the Daytona 500. But you just don't know what's going to happen to the charters that they lose, that they won't have access to for at least for the rest of the year. Does NASCAR just say, okay, we're going to have 30 charter teams and 10 open cars? Are these charters that were sold from Stewart-Haas, can they go back to Haas? Do they have the ability to field them if they want to? Can NASCAR allocate them for a certain amount of time to other teams? But again, there haven't been, more than 40 cars since the start of the year. So things are quite likely that they would make every race, but again, no guarantee.
All right. They have a couple of weeks to appeal this. First off, do you think they'll appeal, and what is the next process if they do? Where does this go?
Okay. So the injunction, it was issued yesterday by the U.S. Court of Appeals. 3 of the judges from the appeals court heard the case in May and issued their ruling. And now the teams have 2 weeks to ask for those 3 judges to rehear it, or to ask for all 18 judges in the appeals court to hear it. Typically, especially when you lose the case 3-0, if it was a split decision between 2 judges, they might have a better chance at a rehearing. Typically, those type of requests are not granted. Once you don't get that request, theoretically, you could ask, for the Supreme Court to hear the case. But in a case like this, that is very, 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 very unlikely that the Supreme Court would get involved.
So basically what the federal court said was that, hey, NASCAR has the right to take your charter away while you're suing them, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So the teams at the end of last year said we can't sign the charter agreement because there's a clause in the charter agreement that says we won't sue NASCAR. So we need this injunction to allow us to be charter teams and sue NASCAR. And so that's what they got from the district court. And then the appeals court threw that out. They said that the initial judge's decision did not kind of correlate with any antitrust law or cases that they know of that would grant that type of relief to the race teams.
So this, it's not a complete dead end, but Bob, it sounds like this is close to the end of the road for 23 Racing and Front Row Motorsports, right? I know they have an appeal, but it doesn't look good.
So the case is scheduled to go to trial in December, and this is a very narrow, very small part of the entire case. So it certainly isn't good for the race teams, but it's not. Even the judges in the appellate court said we're not making any. We're not basing this decision on any of the other arguments, other than the fact that the district court had said that this clause in the charter agreement that said that the teams can't sue NASCAR, the judge in the district court said that clause violates antitrust law. The appeals court said no, it doesn't. So all the other issues in this case are still kind of up in the air.
Bob Pockrass, he covers racing for Fox and foxsports.com, and follow Bob on X at Bob Pockrass, Pockrass. So when they filed this suit, I believe it was late last year, we had you on shortly thereafter, and we said, so when you're walking around the garage, are the other race teams who are playing ball, they all signed their charters, but are they rooting for Michael Jordan and company? Or are they going, what are they doing? They're out of their minds. And you said, kind of split. I'm just curious, all these months later, the garage, no one from the garage is going to go on the record and say they're behind them. But is the garage still rooting for Michael Jordan?
A little bit. There's some that are in the district court, because NASCAR has in one of their filings said, we could just get rid of the charter system. That could be a way to get rid of any potential antitrust violations. And so the judge has asked the teams and NASCAR, well, then shouldn't all the teams be part of this lawsuit? And so all the teams have filed and said, no, we shouldn't be part of this lawsuit, partly because any disputes on the charter agreement are supposed to go to arbitration and not be litigated. But I think also they don't want to all be involved. It's likely that they've all have been asked for financial information as part of discovery in this case. And I imagine that they don't want to do it. So even if they are kind of pulling for Michael Jordan and 2311 in front row to prevail and maybe get some better provisions in the charter agreement, they do not want the legal hassle that it appears that they're going to have to go through over the next 6 months if this case continues.
Bob, we have time for one more question. At the beginning of the year, you said this is going to be a really big year for IndyCar. They've had 2 guys, and that's it. Win their first 7 races. They switched over to Fox. I think the coverage has been excellent, far better than what it was. Ratings for the most part have been up. Is this year going as well as IndyCar thought it would go?
I mean, it certainly has had some challenges. Would it be better if there were more than 2 winners? Although, hey, state of Florida, Kyle Kirkwood's got 2 of them. So at least you got that going for you. And, certainly would be better if there were more winners. I think that could, if you're a fan of a certain driver, that might be better. But, it certainly has incredible storylines, especially, who is going to be able to catch, if anybody, catch Alex Palou.
Yeah, that doesn't look like anybody, to be honest with you. Bob, we appreciate your time and your insight. Safe travels from track to track, and hopefully we can catch up again during the summer.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Bob Pockrass of Fox and foxsports.com. Follow him on X at Bob Pockrass, Pockrass.
Bad day for the owners.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm with you that I think every other team was either quietly or not so quietly rooting for Front Row and 23 Racing to win. And, well, that's not happening.
And very quickly, because I'm guessing most people are not into NASCAR and racing. So for 2 years, the race teams and NASCAR were negotiating. And the race teams were saying to NASCAR, listen, we know you own the circuit and it's a monopoly, but you're keeping too much of the money. This sport's a fortune. You got to share more of the money. We can't make any money. And after 2 years, NASCAR basically gave all the race teams a drop dead offer. Sign this contract or we'll move on without you. And 13 of the 15 race teams signed the contract. Michael Jordan's race team and Front Row Motorsports did not. And they're suing NASCAR. They're saying they're a monopoly, okay? And it basically, to me, and I'm old enough to remember this, Mark, I feel like Michael Jordan and Front Row Motorsports are trying to break up Bell Telephone. That's what I think this is. Bell Tel was it in this country forever, okay? And then it got deemed a monopoly, and that's why we have the phones and the phone service that we have now. Okay, and NASCAR has obviously been run by the same family, the same way from the very beginning. And I feel as if they're trying to break up Bell Telephone. And I don't know if they'll be able to do it.
I don't either. Obviously, NASCAR owns so many of the tracks they race on. It makes it difficult for me to see how they break this up. And this injunction not getting through to the next level is a big blow to the 2 race teams. So we'll see how this works out. But big win for NASCAR yesterday.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yep.
And a huge win for the Indiana Pacers yesterday.
Whew.
They led for 0.3 seconds of the game.
They picked
Halliburton's shot goes in with 0.3 left. It gives them the lead. It gives them the win, and they escape winning game 1 in Oklahoma City, leaving the Thunder stunned.
I just saw quickly, you know, we went through the 4 quote unquote miracle wins the Pacers have had this year in the playoffs. The odds of winning those 4 games in the position that they were in were 1 and 1.5 million.
And think about it. Yeah, they had, 6 scores in double figures, but Halliburton didn't have a great game. They turned the ball over a ton.
25.
And in the second half, did Oklahoma City let their foot off the gas, or did the Pacers figure out how to attack their defense? Miller and Moulton. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
David, you'll love this.
Okay.
And I don't even care that it's on Twitch yet because I almost did it. But do you remember? Well, I know you remember. I think Lori is her name that worked at here and then over at now she's here. I've had the door open all morning because Gina's not here. And if Gina's not here, because it gets hot in here. So I've left the door open the whole show because Gina's not next door today.
Wait, you mean the business person, Lori?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Huh.
And she comes by, and I had the door, and I saw her out of the corner. I just saw someone walking by. Hey, you remember who I am, don't you? You know how close I went to going? No idea. Either that or UCF sucks were the first two things that popped in my head.
Wow. That would have been spectacular. Big UCF mom. Yeah.
Right. And she just sits and tells me about all this guy did that. And I'm like, who is that? You don't know who that is? No, I don't have a clue. He was the TV sales manager over there. Oh, okay.
I would like to know why she's no longer over there.
She quit because they didn't want her. That's what she told me. Now she's here because they want her here, apparently. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know. But the door's shut now.
Oh, damn, that's funny.
David, we can do this here if you want. Fried Egg Golf just put a post out.
Okay.
It was 2 years ago today that Monahan and Yasser Al-Rumayyan sat down on CNBC and talked about merger.
Done. We'd like to congratulate them. Okay, it's a hell of a deal they worked out. In fact, I have a poll question for you. You know, one of those imaginary poll questions that we don't end up doing. But when you go there, I've got a counter.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes after the hour. Kurt Becker joined us last hour. You can go to millerandmoulton.com and get his insights on the Belmont tomorrow, which is going to be raced once again at Saratoga. Bob Pockrass just joined us. We talked about the federal appeals court giving NASCAR a big win yesterday and putting in jeopardy the long-term future of Michael Jordan's role in NASCAR and maybe that of Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, and the like. Herm Edwards to join us on the American Paint Supplies hotline coming up in about 15 minutes time.
You know, we do a thing every day for those of you who are not in the 904 and the 239 at the end of the show where I do a little segment. Today was the day when. David enjoys it. We're not sure if the audience does. But where we do a little sports and world history. And it's something David and I came up with a few years back, and it's something that we do daily and have a little fun with. This didn't make the list, and it didn't make the list because I didn't realize it was today. But I just realized during the break, perusing X, a golf account that I follow called Fried Egg Golf, posted the following. 2 years ago today, Jay Monahan and Yasser Al-Rumayyan sat down for a bombshell of an interview on CNBC to announce the framework agreement between the PGA Tour and Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Right. How's that working out? How's that deal going?
Well, as it goes on to say at the end of this, we are basically in the same place today as we were on June 6, 2023.
Although I could argue that the PGA Tour is in a better place. They have seemingly come out of this stronger than where they were 2 years ago. I thought 2 years ago that was a big win for LIV. And to me, I think LIV's future is going to be determined here in the next 6 months. Who's going to resign and what are their fields going to look like next year? Because a lot of contracts come up. I think they have Bryson for one more year. But, now he may be past his prime and he hasn't played good golf in a year and a half. But, DJ's contract's up. I think Koepka's contract's up. Rahm's got one more year after this year. I mean, how many of the bigger name guys are going to stay or are going to get offered contracts to stay?
And what happens if they don't want to sign the contracts? I mean, I'm more curious, David, is if they do not re-up with LIV. And then they essentially are independent contractors without a deal with either tour. What is the PGA going to do, say, want with them in order for them to rejoin the PGA Tour?
Well, I will say the DP World Tour held firm with Sergio and a few of the Europeans who didn't want to pay the fines that the DP World Tour sanctioned them with when they made the jump to LIV. And they're like, I ain't paying these fines. And the DP World Tour said, well, then you ain't playing for Europe in the Ryder Cup. And that's non-negotiable. And Rahm huffed and puffed and Sergio huffed and puffed. Okay, yeah, they've paid the fines. Now, I don't think they're members of the DP World Tour, but they paid the fines. They're at least eligible to be picked for a European Ryder Cup team. Mark, as of now, there would be penalties for somebody who wants to leave LIV and come back to the PGA Tour. We don't know what those penalties would be, but they are not being given a blank slate.
Right. No, I understand that. The main difference, David, and to me, it's a really big difference. It may not be. Maybe I'm way off base here. But when you talk about the guys in the DP World Tour with Rahm and Sergio, they were still full-fledged members of LIV when this was going on. They're under contract with LIV Golf.
Correct.
What I'm curious about is when whoever, DJ, Koepka, Patrick Reed, their contract's up with LIV Golf. They say, I want to come back to the PGA Tour. Even if there are fines, is the PGA Tour going to let them? What fines are they going to impose? What penalties are they going to want to impose? Because these guys, if they come back, they're not coming back to play in the non-elevated events, if you know what I mean. And the PGA Tour is going to say, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You're not eligible for these events. You have to earn your way back to the elevated events. Right. Does that mean if you're DJ and Koepka, you just re-up with LIV Golf? Or do you actually take the penalties that are given to you to get back on the PGA Tour?
I'm guessing guys of that stature would not want to serve any penalty. Okay, but you've got the Tiger, Adam Scott, contingent of the PGA policy board there. They want retribution for the guys who want to come back. And they've made no bones about it.
And I think at least me, I thought we find that very fascinating, to say the least, because the money these guys are making on tour now, the top guys are making that money because of the Live Tour.
Yes, they are.
And there's just no argument there.
Hey, Rory has said so. Rory has flat said so in the last year. You know, I mean, he has said, I've had my differences with Phil. Phil was right about a lot of things he said, and we're benefiting greatly from what they did. We would not be playing for what we're playing for if they hadn't done what they did. Right. So I believe they should be welcomed back for that reason. But trust me, Tiger and a few others do not. And that's why there's no deal. That's a big part of why there's no deal.
And think about it. Tiger really hasn't played competitive golf now in 3 years. And in those 3 years, because of the changes on the PGA Tour that have happened because of the Live Tour, Tiger's made, what, $10, $15 million off that personal player fund?
Right. The most
he hasn't played. He hasn't played, and he's been handed tens of millions of dollars, and it's mainly because the Live Tour started. And yet he is the most adamant of anybody, and he still carries the weight and the power to keep those guys from coming back on that policy board.
So it wasn't really a press conference because it was just a joint interview on CNBC between Monahan and the PIF guy. But I would like to ask a poll question, because it's 18 years tomorrow that Billy Donovan returned to the Gators after agreeing, I think it was on Monday of this week or last Sunday, was the anniversary of when Billy agreed and to become Orlando Magic head coach. And they had a presser. Even. Okay. So I'm just curious, a more meaningless press event, the Monahan Piff interview on CNBC or the Billy Donovan new Orlando Magic head coach presser 18 years ago?
I'm going with the Donovan Orlando Magic one, and here's why. Because 2 weeks after that presser, it was damn near a non-story. 2 years after that interview, we're at least still talking about the merger that's never happened between the PGA and Live Golf. But I love where your head's at with that one, because you're right. You forget they did a press conference.
Yeah, it was done. Their presser. Gators had moved on. Jeremy Foley's on the Gator plane on a landing strip trying to get Anthony Grant. Okay. And all of a sudden, Billy calls him while he's getting off the plane and says, hey, I might be changing my mind. Foley never gets off the plane. Anthony Grant's waiting to have lunch. Herm Edwards is next. With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floormeisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floormeisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dreamweaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floormeisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
It's got to be Grant Hill, doesn't it, Adam? I mean, when he got off the plane, you're talking about when he got off the plane and he was in crutches? That's got to be that. Got to be that. Adam, I remember it too, because obviously Hill came from the right from the Pistons, right? And I remember that, and I just remember him getting off the damn plane with the crutches on, going, "And this is your big signing? This is not going to work out well." I'm totally with you. It's an all-timer for me. I'm right there with you, Adam. And Knicks, it's the NCAA. The PGA is bad, but there is no leadership that is worse than the NCAA's. But it's a good question. Having a ball with a texter who no longer listens to the show, but then texts about segments that he doesn't like. God, I love that. You too, Knicks. Have a great weekend. Hope you find yourself a house. Yep, that's the Alpine skier guy. Exactly right. Coach is on. I don't ever go first names with anybody that was a coach.
You and Brent Musburger.
Hey, they love it.
They do.
Ultimate sign of respect.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Joining us once again, the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Herm Edwards, these days, talking football for ESPN, longtime player, coach, broadcaster. Herm, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
I am well. I guess the wait is finally over in Pittsburgh, huh?
Yes. Yes.
With Aaron Rodgers, the 41-year-old quarterback.
Yes.
Going to the Steelers. That'll be interesting. I do believe that, the thing that he has going for him and the fact that he's going to Pittsburgh is that they have an outstanding defense. And that goes to without being said. I mean, I think everyone knows Pittsburgh's always been built organizational-wise, defensively, and always seems to have a strong running game on offense. So if Aaron Rodgers can just stay upright and shake off the cobwebs of being 41, I mean, that's a concern for me. He's 41 years old. Not saying he can't do it, but it'll be interesting to watch to see what he does, too.
Coach, when you look at Pittsburgh and the way that organization is run from ownership down, it's vastly different than how the Jets were run. How much of an impact is that going to make on Aaron Rodgers in your estimation?
Well, I think anybody that's known that, watched the Pittsburgh Steelers over the course of the history of this team, what has had 3 head coaches? Mike Tomlin's been there for almost 20 years now. I mean, there's some consistency there with ownership. They have a defined, outlook of who they are, how they do things. So Aaron Rodgers knows that. He's been in the league a long time. He understands how the Pittsburgh Steelers are built. And I think, this negotiation he knew all along he was going there. I mean, it wasn't like, okay, they just finally got it done. I just think that's Aaron Rodgers. He likes to be the last guy standing, per se. And now he's reporting. And I think if you're the players there, you're kind of excited about having him. It'll be interesting to see how they run the offense with him, though.
Well, that's what we talked about, Coach, during these last few months when we agreed with you. I mean, this seemed like a foregone conclusion. But, we came up with remember in the latter part of Elway's career, he was hitting into his late 30s, and Shanahan said to him, listen, it's not that you can't throw for 300 yards anymore, but that's not how we're going to win games. We're going to run the ball. We're going to try to force turnovers on defense, and then we're going to call on you when needed. And we wonder, Aaron hasn't played in an offense like that his whole career. I mean, don't you feel that that's the natural transition here? Throw the ball 27 times a game, run the ball, play defense. Okay, fourth quarter, we need you. Go be Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, that is a correct statement. There's no doubt about that. And really, I think if you're Aaron Rodgers, this is kind of a way you can end your career on a high note. I don't think he wanted to go out like he did after leaving the Jets. I mean, that was kind of a stormy romance, to say the best. And now he's at a place where he's on a team that, even last year they had some struggles. They were 3-3, but they were a 10-7 football team. Now, he plays in a division that's pretty good. I mean, there's some good quarterbacks there. I mean, you talk about the Baltimore Ravens and Jackson. You talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati's problem has been that they've gotten off to slow starts. And they keep saying every year, we're not going to get off to a slow start. Here again, last year they got off to a slow start. The Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. Are they going to be – we're going to find out. But I think if you're Pittsburgh, you're sitting there going, hey, we were second in the division last year. We were 3-3 in the division with not consistent quarterback play. If they could just get some consistency, Aaron Rodgers is not going to have to win a lot of games. He's going to have to close games out with some completions down the stretch, and maybe every once in a while,
but that lead is never going to be too far where he can't, get back in the game because of their defense.
Let's switch from an old quarterback to a young one. When you look at the Vikings this year, and they go to J.J. McCarthy, who for all intents and purposes is a rookie because he didn't play last year because of injury. They had a hell of a year as a team last year. Kevin O'Connell can coach quarterbacks. There's no doubt about that. And he has a lot of weapons with great receivers, a great tight end. But he's still a rookie. How concerned, if you were coaching the Vikings, how concerned would you be about bringing along that young quarterback?
Yeah, I don't think Kevin O'Connell is really worried about that at all. I just think, he played with my son actually at San Diego State. He was a player there. I think he does a great job with the quarterback position. He knows he has a young guy, and I think he's in a division that it's pretty interesting. The Lions were the big favorite in that division in the playoffs. They met Jaden Daniels in Washington Commanders and got punched in the mouth, right? So that kind of shook everybody up right there. But I think it's an interesting division over there in the NFC North. I think that, as much as we talk about the Vikings, believe it or not, guys, I'm going out on a limb. I think the Bears are going to be better. I do. I think with new head coach, I just think the coach has been in that division that was with Detroit. He goes to the Bears. And I know we didn't want to talk about the Bears, but they were 5-12. I get it, 1-5 in the division, but I think they're going to be better.
Well, the funny thing is, Herm, they were 4-2 when they lost the Hail Mary game to Jaden Daniels in Washington. I mean, we wonder how much differently would life have gone for the head coach, the staff, and their season last year if they had just defended the Hail Mary. They would have been, I think, the same record as the Commanders or better walking off the field that day. They won once the rest of the year.
No, that was kind of when that happened to them. It just kind of fell apart. You're right. I do think they're going to be very challenging in that division. That division is a pretty good division, the NFC North. We know the Packers are always the Packers. We talked about the Vikings, but the Lions are going to be very consistent. But it's the Bears, the one I'm looking at.
A lot of pressure on that coach and quarterback, no doubt, but they've improved their roster immensely. when you look at the NFC too, and you talk about how good that division is, I'd look in our backyard here in Tampa and think that, I don't know what Carolina has. I think New Orleans is going to be pretty bad. Not sure about Atlanta as well. With the depth in that NFC North, Tampa at the end of the year, to me, I don't know about a 1 seed, but they could be a 2 seed. I think that, with what Baker's done with the Bucs, that no one's talking about them, and I think they're in a pretty good position heading into the season, Coach.
I agree. Baker Mayfield doesn't get enough credit. I mean, now he's become the wily veteran. He's had some heartbreak in his career. He's had some people that really didn't believe in him. He's kind of resurrected himself there, and he's the leader. I mean, he's the energy bunny for those guys. He's playing well. He's playing at a high level. As you mentioned, their record in the division was 4-2, similar to the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons were 4-2. It's one of them divisions. I say every year, just flip a coin. I said, 8-9 might win the division over there. Who knows? The NFC South, right? Everyone kind of beats up everybody over there. But it's an interesting division. But I do believe Tampa is probably the team to beat.
Herm Edwards, ESPN, longtime coach, broadcaster, and of course had an outstanding NFL career, kind enough to join us once again on the American Paint Supplies hotline. Hey, you have already mentioned him. For what it's worth, the two guys you're talking to would have taken him first overall in last year's draft, leading into the draft, not Caleb Williams. When you recruited and got Jaden Daniels at Arizona State, you had him before he transferred to LSU. Did you think, skinny guy, but did you look at him and go, oh, wow, he's a star?
Well, it's kind of interesting to say that. I'd speak to Jaden every Saturday last year. before they played. And what's interesting about Jaden, and I said, I'm going to mention somebody to you. You probably don't know who this is. I said, but you have a lot of attributes like a guy that I played with, Randall Cunningham. About the same height. Randall was probably maybe 5-7 pounds more than Jaden, but had the same attributes. Had that kind of long delivery and kind of slinky and could run. And everybody says, go get hurt. Not a problem. Not a problem. And I used to tell Jaden all the time when he left the pocket, I said, hey, you leave the pocket, that's one thing. I said, just know when the journey's over and protect yourself. That's the whole key, because you got to play the next series of plays. And do you any good sitting by me on the bench talking about you hurt. But he's a smart player. I think they did a marvelous job with the guy. And you just can't say enough about what they were able to do. And, and he goes to Washington and obviously has a great year. And, their coordinator was in Arizona when I was at Arizona State.
Right.
So, and so it was kind of like he watched him every Saturday play. And so he kind of knew what he was getting, and they built the offense around his skill set. And as the season continued to go, he got better. I think, look, they're a good football team. They're a really good football team. And it'll be interesting his second year. The sophomore year is always hard for NFL players. It just is. It's just hard because of the expectations you put on yourself as a player. And I know Jaden has probably got high expectations, what he wants to do. But this is the critical year because the second year is always the one it seems like. And it happened to me my second year. I started as a rookie my second year. I not struggle, but it's harder. It's harder because of the expectations you set on yourself as a player. So, but I think, look, this is a team that the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants, especially if you're the Eagles and you're talking about repeating, look, you're going to have to deal with Washington, and they know it. And then Washington beat them. So, it's not like, they got a quarterback for the next 10 years. That's it. Washington has their guy.
Coach, how do you make sure? Because you're right, they've got their guy. But as you said, the second season's the hardest. How do you make sure? If you're Kingsbury, if you're Daniels, what do you do this year? How do you ensure that the trajectory still keeps going up and it doesn't level off this year?
Well, I think early in the season, get him going and help him with the run game and settle him down and say, and Jaden's sensible. You got to tell him, hey, look, don't try to set the league record in throwing touchdown passes. We just want to win games like we did last year. Don't worry about your stats. Because you get caught up in, I want to do better personally, and that's great. Every player wants to do better. Well, let's just find a way to win games. And look, they did a great job of winning games last year. When you look at how they played, they were division-wise, they were 4-2. They beat the Eagles. That's it. The Eagles lost. The Eagles are 5-1. So they know that it's them and the Eagles for the most part. Dallas is Dallas. Dallas just finds a way to be Dallas Cowboys. The Giants are in a kind of a tough spot in the fact that, and we know this, guys, you take a quarterback in the first round and it doesn't work out, you're talking 5 years to recover. And when you take a quarterback in the first round that high and it doesn't work out, generally teams, it takes them 5 years to recover. That's kind of the history of the NFL. When you pick that guy and it doesn't, because, it's just 5 years.
Yeah.
And the Giants are going through it right now.
Right. They picked Daniel Jones. It didn't work. Had its moments, but it ultimately didn't work. And that's why they're in the situation they're in. And Coach, we're pressed for time. But, how about the Colts? This is year 3. Richardson can't stay on the field. If you're the GM, obviously you want him to be the guy. But, when do you cut bait?
It's hard, because he gives you those wow moments. But here again, as you mentioned, you have to stay on the field. I always tell players the thing you got to do in the NFL and just in life and period is be available. And if you're not available, he's already coming from a place, that he's behind, and the fact that he didn't have a lot of reps in college.
Right.
And then he comes into pro football. This is pro football. He's a big, strong athlete. He can run, he can throw. but now he's hurt. So the only way you get experience is actually play. The only way you get experience is play. You don't get experience sitting on the bench. I mean, I remember with the Eagles when I was a rookie, Dick Vermeil saying, look, here's the deal. You're going to play. And you're going to play in the preseason because you're going to be a starter and you're a rookie. You don't come out in the first quarter when all the veterans come out. You stay in the game. I looked at him and I said, yeah, you stay in the game. I'm going to get you experience. Well, that's what you got to do. You got to play. He needs to play football, but he can't because he's always hurt.
Yep. Herm, time flies when you're on with us. We've always appreciated you. You've been good to us over the years. Hope you and your family are well. Stay safe, safe travels, and hopefully we can talk again before or during the season.
Thank you, my friends. Appreciate you.
Herm Edwards, longtime coach, player, and broadcaster, and back with ESPN. Miller and Moulton. For those who are leaving us, have a great weekend. 239 and the 904. Bonus hours next.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's a total F up on me. Thanks, Feeney. That's just, I got him late and didn't do my job right. I screwed up. It's on me. It's a mistake and nothing. Now it's going to ruin the next hour of my day. But can't do anything about it now, so F it.
Yeah, Sonny, that could be a best of interview. Herm. For those of you who have been with us for a few years, we had a whole year where Herm came on the show weekly. We actually paid him. It was a very small amount of money. Herm only did that if he got paid, and he did it for far less than his normal rate. And he basically said to us, "Don't tell anybody." And obviously we didn't. But he came on with us every week. And it was difficult for him too, because he lives on the West Coast. And I think he came on with us but he came on with us a day after he would fly from coast to coast. So, and yet he, honored the agreement every week. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Huh?
That muscle back.
Yeah, I'm sorry I screwed up that interview by not having our mics on for the first two questions, for Christ's sake.
That's all right.
Good God. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton, final hour of the week. Hope you're all going to have a good weekend. It's my anniversary this weekend. We're actually going to do something.
Happy anniversary to you and the little missus.
29.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because earlier this week, it was 30 years since I asked her to marry me. And then Sunday's our anniversary. It'll be 29 years. Or as she famously said about 15 years ago, quote, "Oh, good God."
And you've been in Jacksonville for a few years now. And last week you found a restaurant that you like. So I know you've got somewhere to go for your anniversary day.
We're going to try. We're going to go to the beach. Okay. We're going to, try to, a little romance. All right. I mean, we're
David, you're both in your mid to late 50s. There's not a lot of romance. That I do know.
I said a little romance.
Okay.
Right. I mean, 23 minutes or less. Right. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to try. But so an anniversary weekend for me, and little Stanley Cup final tonight, and then no hockey till Monday. I feel badly in a sense, and we've talked about it. You don't play sports on Saturday when you can play sports on Sunday. You get a much bigger audience by playing the sport on Sunday than if you played it on Saturday. But I got to admit, if you're the NBA, I mean, you created a little something with how that game ended last night. I mean, it's almost like I wish you guys were hockey. No. Come on, get back out there as soon as possible. Let's go. Let's go. By Sunday night, people may have forgotten about game one. We'll see.
They'll be fine on Sunday. Do you think the Women's College Softball World Series will do a bigger number than tonight's Game 2 Stanley Cup Final?
I have not seen the softball ratings for Game 1 on ESPN. We talked about Wednesday night at the same time the Stanley Cup Final was on TNT. The softball was on ESPN. What would do a bigger audience? Mark, I think the hockey will win close, but if the game was on ABC, the softball would win because Texas and Texas Tech played over the weekend. I think they played Saturday on ABC, and they drew more viewers Saturday on ABC. And this wasn't a final or anything like that. This was just a, double elimination tournament game. And they drew more viewers than Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. But that was on ABC on the weekend. So I'm guessing the hockey will still edge out the softball. But if you're just joining us, lowest rated Game 1 of a Stanley Cup Final in 17 years.
That's since the games were on Versus.
Right.
Red Wings Penguins Game 1 on Versus did 2.35 million. Wednesday's game between Edmonton and Florida did 2.42 million. It barely beat, it beat the Women's College World Series. The Women's College World Series did 2.11 million.
Okay. Well,
so
that
it beat it, but not by a whole hell of a lot.
And remember, that was Game 1 of a best of 3. Tonight is the championship game of the softball versus Game 2 of the hockey.
And we already know the storylines for the hockey, and I don't think they've changed from Game 1 to Game 2. But, David, how many people do you think between Game 1 of the softball and tonight have heard about the pitcher for Texas Tech, the $1 million NIL, and some of the things that, yes, it's been out there for 11 months when she got the deal from Texas Tech, but it's been brought to the forefront in the last 48 hours.
And also how dramatic the Game 1 win was, where basically while giving an intentional walk, Texas was able to get the big hit off her and win the game. She held on for the win last night. By the way, would you change that rule? I mean, it big time softball and baseball, in Little League, you're on pitch counts and this, that, once you get to college, you can pitch the same pitcher, male or female, you can every day. And unlimited
and softball pitchers can pitch day after day. They can. The way the arm movement is, they do not affect their arm the way a baseball pitcher would. You pitch the same, you pitch your ace every damn time you can.
Would you change that? Because think about it. If you have one elite pitcher, you can go to the finals. I mean, if you have an unhittable pitcher, her ERA for the season, Mark, is under 1. For the year, it's under 1. And I'm just wondering, if you're softball, do you want to, hey, you can pitch them 2 out of the 3 games, but you can't pitch. I'm just wondering, do you want a team to have to, I don't know, have more than a pitcher? Because clearly a pitcher in softball, I mean, you could argue, Mark, seriously, what's more important, a quarterback in football or a pitcher in softball?
I would argue that a pitcher in softball is the most important position that there is in all of sports, David.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, and I mean, I would love, you can text me at 21,000, would love to hear your thoughts on the most, you find an obscure sport for me. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But I've paid attention to sports my entire life.
Right. And
I'm happy to pay attention to a lot of softball. I grew up across the street from a guy who sponsored a men's team. One of my best friends from childhood still works in the softball business. Happen to know a little bit about pitching. I don't think there's anything close. I've told the story on the air a few times. When they had the World Tournament in my town in 1981, I watched 2 of the greats go 35 innings against one another. the same two pitchers.
And so I'm just throwing that out there. Do you make them, because like in the Little League World Series, they're on a pitch count. Okay, so if the kid can't get the complete game in time, he's got to come out of the game.
No, I would leave it just the way it is. I like greatness. I like greatness. And I'm not going to say, this would be to me like saying, well, Aaron Judge has already batted 4 times today, and that's his limit. He can't bat the 5th time. I know it's the bottom of the 9th, and there's 2 on and 2 out, but he's already reached his limit for today. No.
Well, I don't like the pitch count, limitation for softball or anything like that. But I do wonder, in a best of 3, do you make them have to pitch 2 different starting pitchers? I'm just wondering.
I wouldn't.
Okay. Because like you said, you get one. That's why, another reason, I'll back up Texas Tech spending $1 million on this young lady. I mean, you just said, even though you're against them spending the $1 million, okay, you're thrilled for her. You don't think Texas Tech is getting their money's worth. All right. And you just said, though, there is no more important position in team sport than the pitcher on a softball team.
None. And David, to back up what I was saying yesterday, I spent a good hour reading about Texas Tech softball. Because what else are you going to do on a Thursday?
I hope you were poolside at least.
No. It turns out that a pitcher, the going rate for an elite pitcher is around $150,000.
Okay.
They gave her $1 million.
Right.
No one by any account is making more than $200,000 pitching. All I was saying is that they probably could have got her for a lot less than they did.
Right.
And they went all in.
Right.
And
they're pitching for the championship.
Yes,
tonight.
they are. And the ADs out there, just so proud of the job that they've done at Texas Tech when it all boils down to an oil man and his wife shelling out all the money for this program.
Miller and Moulton. We just had Herm Edwards on, and I wanted to start the interview by asking him this question, but we introduced him, and he just kind of said, yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers signed, and he just took it from there. So that's how we went, and there was really no way to come back. But I just want to point this out, and I think most of us know this, but maybe we've forgotten. Do you know it was only 3 years ago he was the football coach at Arizona State? 2022, he was the football coach at Arizona State. Think about the landscape of college football when he was coaching Arizona State to now. Think about how different it is. Now, Herm got in trouble with the NCAA, and he has a 5-year show cause penalty, so he'll never coach in college ball again. He's also in his early 70s. He's likely never to coach again. Okay, Herm, by the way, got in trouble for the same thing that the NCAA ultimately yelled at Harbaugh about. Herm got in trouble for too much recruiting during COVID. They really limited what you could do during COVID, and Herm was trying to build Arizona State, and he had like 30 recruiting visits during multi-months of COVID, and you weren't allowed to have that many. And so he got yelled at and cost him his job. But that's what he did. And that's what they got Harbaugh for too, ultimately, was, recruiting during COVID. But Mark, think about 3 years ago, 2022. We were just starting, or did it start after that season, the whole NIL?
After.
Right. It started just after it. Never mind the open payment of players. You couldn't do that in 2022. You could start to do it after 2022. Think about the world that Herm Edwards was coaching in. Not even 3 seasons ago versus the world that we are coaching, playing, rooting in now. It's stunning.
It is. And on that note, Michigan today begins their committee on infractions hearing for the whole Connor Stallions case. And that's a little bit bigger, the science thing and all that, but it is just tough, David, to look at the NCAA and anything they do about past issues and look at it with any seriousness.
Well, Mark, in fact, there are some people that are wondering, is this the last case the NCAA is really going to rule on before they turn enforcement over to the conferences?
Miller and Moulton. Couple poll questions up at Miller_Moulton on X. If you miss any of the show, go to millerandmoulton.com to download it. How about that? American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So according to Pat 40, Connor Stallions is in attendance at the Michigan case today, for what it's worth.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
I should probably turn my mic on. 21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Coming at you live from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters just keeping it real. Not enough games for me. This is when I start to, down to, hockey tonight and then no hockey till Monday. Get into this Indiana, Oklahoma City thing. I got to wait till Sunday night. It's like, come on, guys. And never mind the fact that at most we got 12 games left.
Right. Let's hope we get all 12. Let's hope they're as good as they have been the last two nights.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a little different than you. I look at this like, you mean I have a Saturday where I don't have to worry about watching a damn thing? Because there aren't very many of those. Over the course of the year, there are very few Saturdays in which you feel like doing what we do. You can, I can turn the TV off and not worry about a damn thing. I feel that way this Saturday. There'll be a baseball game or two, but there'll be the super regionals going on. Those are always entertaining. But the Women's College World Series is done tonight. Obviously, we got a hockey game tonight. We got another basketball game on Sunday. I'm okay with it.
Next Saturday, you'll be watching your Carnage, your U.S. Open golf. This interests me the least. It really does. When you hit it into the rough and it's unplayable. Come on. That to me is absurd. I get you want them to be penalized for going into the rough, but unplayable. The best I can do is sand wedge it sideways and hope to get it back out onto the fairway. I'm curious about this. DeChambeau was at Oakmont yesterday, I think it was, or no, 2 days ago. And he was dropping some balls in the rough. And obviously this is two-time U.S. Open champion? Okay, and he has won the U.S. Open by just hitting it as far as he can and finding it. And then hitting the short iron, out of the rough. But the Oakmont's a different beast, man.
It is, and I'm with you. It's not my favorite. They could have it at Wingfoot and Shinnecock every year, and I'd be down with that. Because they don't have to trick up either of those golf courses to make even par a tough score. Like Oakmont, they have done so much with the rough. They've extended a par 4. It feels like they're going to the nth degree to make it too hard.
In fact, you and I would have been in the room going, guys, why are you turning that 290-yard hole into a par 3? Wouldn't it be more exciting if you actually had one really legit birdie hole on the course? Because, by the way, you can make double going for that green in one. You can still make 6 here. You can. But anyway, that'll be next Saturday. This Saturday, you're right. Before you go out, make sure you sneak in the Belmont.
Right. Have a drink, watch the Belmont, take your wife to dinner.
Yeah.
I'm curious because I watched the entire pregame of the hockey leading right up into the start, and they did, I thought, a pretty nice job with their open.
Yes.
They also play both anthems in hockey. And when it gets to the final or the finals in basketball, and I don't know if anybody does it as well as Edmonton. I think it's awesome the way they do the anthem. But last night for the NBA Finals, we didn't get any of that. We didn't get starting lineups. We didn't get the anthem. A lot of people, and I'm seeing some things online, that they're basically saying this looks like a Tuesday game in January, and it's the NBA Finals. Did you get that vibe watching last night? I did not take in as much of the pregame as I would because it's not on TNT, and I'm not as interested in the pregame.
I got to be brutally honest with you. I turned the game on mid-first quarter. I was watching something till 9, so I missed all of it. But NBC, for what it's worth, Mark, along those lines, NBC did some promotional stuff last month. Those upfronts in New York City. And that's when they let us know Michael Jordan was going to be part of their NBA coverage. But one of the other things that NBC let everyone know is that they are going to do the starting lineups before every game. They thought when they had the NBA, now obviously Michael and the Bulls, because NBC had the 90s, CBS had the 80s. Magic and Larry was Dick Stockton and CBS and Musburger on the pregame. The 90s were NBC. And then the mid-2000s, ABC took over. And NBC believes that part of them making the NBA as special as it was that glorious PA announcer in Chicago introducing the Bulls. And finally, at guard, and then we all know who it was, obviously.
Well, I'll go back a few years before that. And everything that you say, I agree with 100%. But it didn't start there.
No. Oh, no.
To me, it started in Philadelphia.
Zinc.
Because when they would introduce Julius Irving, there was nothing better. And every part, some of my childhood memories, even with friends, we would fake doing the line. There was nothing cooler than how certain guys came through the tunnel on their own bench. I love when the college guys do it. There's one guy that's the designated handshake guy. Every player goes to him and does his different handshake with him. I also was one that liked it when they did it one by one. Not a fan of college now where they do all 5 guys from the visiting team and all 5 guys from the home team. I was always a fan of one from the visiting team, one from the home team. You go to center court, dap up, move on. You always had the college kid then too, who would run to the other coach,
yep,
and then to the player. So you had that element of it. But I love the starting lineups in hoop. Like the starting lineups in hockey, there's nothing. Whatever.
And they did those, and they tried to make it a big deal. They're putting on a show. I will say they've done it in recent years. For game 1 of the finals, they bring the cup out. For the longest time, you didn't see Lord Stanley until Lord Stanley was won. And then it appeared like a mythical figure in sports. By the way, that legendary 76ers PA announcer was Dave Zinkoff.
But even last night for the NBA Finals, game 1, the Larry O'Brien Trophy wasn't anywhere to be found. They did not have very much pomp and circumstance for the ABC broadcast. And I don't know if that detracted from anybody's enjoyment of the game, because the game was a 3-quarter game of Oklahoma City winning by 10 points. And that's what the game was for 3 quarters.
I'm a little surprised. Now, obviously, I wasn't watching at that time, but I'm a little surprised after the Sugar Bowl fiasco, which was also, I think it was ESPN, but it's the same company. It's ABC, ESPN. After, they had the terrorist attack in New Orleans, and it was a pretty emotional night in New Orleans, and they didn't show any of the anthem, any of the pregame on the field. And they got crushed for it, and they deserved to. And they made sure for the rest of the college bowl season, there's the semis and what have you, we got it all. And I'm a little surprised since then that for the NBA Finals, they wouldn't give us some pomp and circumstance. Less talking heads, little more pomp and circumstance.
And the Pacers close it out last night. They lead for 0.3 seconds, but it was the right 0.3 seconds. They're up one spit.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
I forget who it was. Yeah, Robes, Kirby. Okay. Who was it who asked that we get Jenny Dell on the show? I mean, Jenny's charming and beautiful, but did she make news? But she was nominated for an Emmy this year, but did you see the Halliburton stat? Final 2 minutes of games. Okay. He's 13 of 15 to tie or take the lead this season in the final 2 minutes or overtime.
I'd say that's pretty good.
Holy blank. He is this year, Sonny. He is this year.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour till we're done. Out of here for the week. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_ Moulton on X. Still plenty of time all day and into the evening to vote in our poll question. If you had to pick one quarterback for your team this year, one. 4 very interesting choices that Mark Miller came up with. Got the old guy, Aaron Rodgers. Dak Prescott, this is year 10. You got Tua, younger guy, but hey, been around now. Time to put it all together, stay healthy, the whole deal. And then the up-and-comer, Bo Nix. Which of the 4 would you want to be your quarterback this year?
And well over half of you say Bo Nix. And I maybe should have, I thought I worded it the one quarterback. I'm not saying which team, because the Broncos clearly out of these teams have the best roster. But if you wanted one of these guys to start this year for the Denver Broncos, apparently it's Bo Nix. I went Dak for what it's worth.
So did I.
And then the more important question, it's National Donut Day. Which is your favorite donut? Glazed, not surprised, in the lead with 36% of the vote. Cream-filled with 25% of the vote. The cake donut or the old-fashioned donut getting a little less than 22%. And the jelly-filled with a little more than 17%. I will say at Trackside in Bonita, they serve a jelly donut that's topped with a peanut butter icing. Whew. It's a little bit of heaven right there, kids. That's all I'm saying. It's a little bit of heaven.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was the day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, 427-3441. That's 239-427-3441 or online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton and get 10% off of your service. We start today in 1844 when the Young Men's Christian Association is formed in London. Without that, President Trump would have never had anything to dance to. 1925, Walter Chrysler reorganizes the failing Maxwell Motor Company and founds the automobile manufacturer Chrysler Corporation in Detroit. Sigmund Freud escapes Austria and arrives in London today in 1938. 156,000 strong lead the way onto the beach in Normandy today in 1944 to save Western civilization.
When you see the highlights later today, you see the news clip, just remember the backpacks are 100 pounds. So they're going through the water with 100 pounds on their back, and they're being shot at
by a lot of Germans from a lot of very tough holes
on top of hills, shooting down at them. And then they have to navigate the beaches and then somehow, some way, climb up the hill. And at the top of the hill could very well be a man with a gun.
1954. Jimmy Dykes, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, is ejected from both games of a doubleheader at Yankee Stadium.
Nice.
The Stones release Satisfaction today in 65. We mentioned yesterday that Robert F. Kennedy was shot. It would be today that he would die from the gunshot wounds from the previous night in 1968. Joe Namath resigns from the NFL today in 1969 after Pete Rozelle said he must sell his stake in a bar.
Now remember, in January of 69, he led the Jets to the Super Bowl win, and 5 months later, he's quitting the NFL. Kind of a big story.
He would sell his stake in the bar and go back to the league. 1971, the final broadcast of The Ed Sullivan Show. It was actually a repeat from February 7th, but it was the final time The Ed Sullivan Show would be on CBS. 1976, the Celtics win the title over Phoenix 4-2 after Phoenix forced Game 6 with that unbelievable comeback. All right, 2020. Created by Roone Ardledge, premiered today in 1978, David. 1983, Octopussy, the 13th Bond film, premiered. 17-year-old Steffi Graf beats Martina Navratilova 8-6 in the third. Win the French her first Grand Slam victory today in 1987. Two Live Crew became the first album, or their album, As Nasty as They Want to Be, became the first album declared legally obscene when a federal district court judge ruled that the album violates community obscenity standards in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County today in 1990. NBC announced today in 91 that Jay Leno will succeed Johnny Carson as the host of The Tonight Show.
Letterman took it in stride.
Yeah, he took that very well. Sex and the City premiered on HBO today in 98. The Bourne Identity premiered in 02. And in a Stanley Cup final that only would draw more excitement by the teams in it, that Florida and Edmonton, the Ducks beat Ottawa in 5 for Anaheim's first championship back in 07. Nathan Hale, Bobby Mitchell, and Tommy McVie all would have celebrated birthdays today. Tommy Smith from those 68 games that we mentioned yesterday. Yesterday was John Carlos's birthday. Today, Tommy Smith's birthday. He's 81. Bjorn Borg, 69. Guitarist Steve Vai, 65. Bill Bates is 64. Cam Neely, 60. Orlando Mari is 52. And Uncle Cracker is 51. What did I miss, David?
Well, you hit a lot of things. I believe you did not mention this date in 1933, did you?
I don't believe I did.
The first drive-in movie theater in America was in Pennsauken, which is just across the bridge in the river from Philadelphia in Jersey. It's kind of a Cherry Hill suburb. Okay, first drive-in movie theater opened today in 1933. Did you ever see a movie at a drive-in?
I went to the drive-in a lot. I'm not sure if I ever saw a movie at one.
Okay, so you paid to see a movie?
I paid to go to the drive-in a minimum of 20 times, David. I went with my parents as a young kid.
Okay.
I went with friends in high school. Oh, yeah, loved the drive-in.
I mean, that's it, there's a couple generations that could be listening right now in which there was a time, ladies and gentlemen, where our food and the sound to our movies was all hooked on the inside of our driver's side window. Don't ask. It was the thing.
Drive-ins were the best.
I love them. There was one like 15 minutes from my house. It was a dump. I loved it.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do you got, Mark?
I've been holding this one all week when I either wanted to be lazy or couldn't find a good. It was a little bit of both today. It's Friday. This one's mainly for your wife, David. Pass this along later today because according to a study by the University of Toronto, if you want to reach older age with a sharp mind and a healthy body, apparently 1 to 3 cups of caffeinated coffee per day for women in their 50s will help them from major chronic diseases and good cognitive, physical, and mental health. They researched 47,000 women, and it determined that between 1 and 3 cups of coffee a day is a good thing. For the bad, we go to Colorado, where golfers at a Colorado golf course had an unusual visitor chasing them around. A wandering peacock had made its way onto the course, chasing some golfers around and creating a disturbance. Fortunately, the Thornton Police Department were able to get the peacock and take it off the course. And finally, the ugly, we go to Thailand, where at a market in Thailand, northeast of Bangkok, the market owner had a visitor that he couldn't shoo away. It was an elephant. The elephant, around 2 p.m, made its way to the business and went past the fruits and vegetables and made its way to the snacks. And apparently the 27-year-old male elephant, who's well known in the area, stayed in the store for 10 minutes eating sweets. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Friday, June the 2nd, here on Miller and Moulton.
Well, I think we've gone over this. Game 2 in the battle for Lord Stanley's Cup tonight in Edmonton. I believe it's a must-win for the Panthers. I do not believe they win 4 out of 5 against Edmonton. And I know Edmonton, was down 3-0 last year and won 3 in a row. I don't think that Florida pulls it off against Edmonton in reverse. I don't. I think tonight's a must-win. 8 o'clock TNT. You don't believe that, correct?
I don't because of the goaltender for Edmonton. Skinner has the ability to play great. He's had a bunch of shutouts. He's also had games where he's given up a ton of goals. And depending on which goaltender shows up for Edmonton, until they win 4, David, it's Florida's right in the series, no matter what it is, with Edmonton's goaltending.
8 o'clock ESPN tonight. Softball, Women's College World Series championship game. Game 3 of a best of 3. Texas and Texas Tech. The $1 million pitcher for Texas Tech. She's pitched them to within 1 game of a natty. 8 o'clock tonight, ESPN.
Texas has scored runs in back-to-back games. I mean, they lost, 4-3 last night, 1-2-1 the game before. So,
and they've scored runs late. They scored 2 in the 6th in game 1. They scored 2 in the 7th, despite losing 4-3 in game 2. So they've gotten to her late. Interesting baseball. For what it's worth, the Marlins are visiting the Rays. Do you know the Rays are a half a game out of a wild card right now?
but on a little bit of a roll here, swept Texas. So it doesn't take much to get back into it in the American League.
Nope. Them and Toronto both tied for second, both a half a game out of the final wild card spot. I would argue, I mean, you know, my guess is Yankees, Red Sox will probably find its way onto Fox or ESPN at some point. But Cubs are in Detroit. I mean, don't laugh. It really could be a World Series preview.
The series that I wanted in '84 and didn't get because the Padres took down the Cubs, David. Tigers and Cubs at Comerica. Apparently, it's already sold out for the weekend.
That's awesome. Dodgers in St. Louis to face the Cardinals. Mark, you've been talking about it all year. Do the folks in St. Louis show up this weekend? I mean, the Dodgers are in town, and the Cardinals are right there for a wild card. San Diego's in Milwaukee, Houston's in Cleveland, and oh, by the way, Red Sox, Yankees in the Bronx. But, I mean, Cubs, Tigers. All right, cool. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And, you know, your Mets on the road with one of the hottest teams in baseball. Only two teams in all of baseball have a longer winning streak than the Colorado Rockies.
A lot of pressure. You just came up, you know, you had that big 4-game series in LA with the Dodgers. Okay. Hey, you better get psyched up for the Rockies. They have finally found their mojo. And only 38 games below 500.
Unbelievable.
Belmont's on Fox, by the way.
That's right. Belmont's. Who do you got? Sovereignty or journalism? Where are you going? I'm
going journalism.
I am as well. Didn't have a great trip on the Derby. Didn't have a great trip on the Preakness and managed to win it.
Why are we picking against Kurt Becker, by the way? He's gotten everything right in the first 2 races.
Because we're morons, David.
Yes, we are.
We don't listen to authority, and apparently we don't listen to really smart people as well. If you want to listen to really smart people, those are the guests that have been on our show all week. Go to millerandmoulton.com. Download any portion of the show you may have missed. Have a terrific weekend. We'll be back on Monday. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe
and sound.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David.
This is Miller and Moulton